What up, what up, what up? What's going on, America? We are in the building, Brooklyn Bears and Ball Sports Show. You know what time it is. It's the Super Bowl edition. We about to get into it. We got only 2 teams remaining. We're going to dedicate this show talking strictly about this matchup between the Chiefs and the Niners. As you can see, your boy D vibing, feeling good. It's been Don's year all year. You know, he's been through the highs. He's been through the lows. But D is the last man standing. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, we must give salute to Don on the Brooklyn Bears and Ball Sports Show. He is the man. You can see him representing, you know, his kind of gold McCaffrey jersey, rocking the gear, ready to talk sports. But my, oh my, it's all about the day after. That's going to be the show. But nevertheless, before we get into it,
that's all he wants.
Listen, I only got a little bit of hope left. This is it. No. If Don has his confetti, I'm done.
Hope
Nothing I can do is say.
Eternal, right? It's all good, man.
It's all good, man. But listen, y'all, subscribe. We need you to share. We need you to like YouTube, Facebook. Appreciate the love. Thank y'all for coming through like y'all always do. Continue to support as you have been. We got a fire show today. So if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, notification button. And if you're on Facebook, come on and share. Tag some folks. Get your fam in here. And let's get it on. We're going to talk some football today. So, Don, how you feeling, man? You a little nervous or anything like that, man? How you know what I'm saying? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Believe
That's
me.
The most humble smile I saw all year.
No. I'm going to explain. There is a certain calm. There is a certain peace in this game. And it may pass all understanding. But I think we're going to really, I'll say this. This is going to be a really good game. And a lot of questions that people have will be answered. I think, of course, we know who I'm picking, but there are a lot of reasons for it. And, you know, it's going to, I expect you to give a whole bunch of things. And just for the record, although, according to the books in, you know, Vegas, we're the favorites. But if you hear everyone speak, they're really giving us no shot. They're not really giving us a chance to win. And I'm sure, you know, my co-host is going to be the same. We have no shot of winning. So the favorite is in air quotes. We're the underdogs as it pertains to how everyone views Patrick Mahomes up against Brock Purdy. But it's a team game, so we're fortunate for that. But without further ado, man, let's get into it. Man, we've been waiting for this all season long.
All season long. It is finally.
Oh, man, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for tomorrow's game. San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Depending on what sports book you look at, 49ers are anywhere from 1.5 point favorites to 2.5 point favorites. Over under, I believe, is like 47.5. I think from a standpoint of the 49ers, really no one is giving us a true shot. Everyone feels that although on paper and how the sports books are setting it, we're the favorites, they're really not giving us an option or really an opportunity to win. And as I've felt many times before when we were kind of up against it, as it's been stated all season, Brock Purdy, whoever he plays on the opposite side of the field, quarterback-wise, they're always going to be drafted higher than him, right? So he's going to always be, in a lot of people's minds and hearts, 262, Mr. Irrelevant. But I'm here to tell you today that after tomorrow's game, there is going to be some respect put on his name. I like the 49ers, and I'm not going to even beat around the bush. I like the 49ers to win, and not only win convincingly. I think the 49ers are going to win convincingly. I think this will be, as I've stated before, this will be a non-teasable game. You will not be able to tease this score, okay? So if you think about it, 49ers are 1.5 to 2.5 point favorites. Teasing would allow you to put, 7 points, 6 points, whatever. The Niners are going to win by double digits. Okay? And I'm saying it as matter of fact as I can. What do they say? If someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The 49ers have dominated the entire season. Overall, we averaged 30 points. We have dominated the entire season. Kansas City has, to a large degree, won by the seat of their pants. They've lucked out. Teams have played, abandoned what got them there. Because let's think about their playoff run. You can say what you want about how we played in the playoffs. Questionable teams running on us. Brock Purdy not having a good first half, coming back second half, and impressive, and putting the team on his shoulders. Let's look at Kansas City, their playoff run, right?
Mm-hmm.
You play Miami, right? Miami, what did they do? Ultimately, they abandoned the run. Now, if you know someone's weakness and you know that gives you the best opportunity to beat them, why would you not try to exploit it? It's very simple. Why wouldn't you, if they're weak against the run, why would you pass on them? That's first off. So Miami abandoned the run. Then we go to Buffalo. Buffalo tried to run the ball. They did pretty good against them. But what did they do? As we said, that was not a recipe for was a recipe for disaster. They became too Josh Allen centric. They got away from the things that made them, leading up to that game, a very tough and difficult team to face, because they got away from it just solely being Josh Allen, and they started to become more of a balanced offense with the run and the pass. But of course, as it has happened before, Josh Allen was going for the bomb shots instead of taking at what the defense was giving them. And if they were giving them run plays, was allowing them to open up and move the ball down the field, that's what they should have done. But they didn't do it. Finally, Baltimore, who arguably the most explosive, especially on his legs and arm combination. You could say, okay, people say Josh Allen, right? But Lamar Jackson is a difference maker when it comes to running the ball. When first of all, their run offense was top notch all season long. Mm-hmm. They got the number 1 seed, best team throughout AFC and NFC. You get to the AFC Championship game, and what do? The thing that got you there, you ran the ball 8 times. You know that is a weakness of the Chiefs, yet you don't do it. So for me, 2 things that we as the 49ers will draw a line in the sand. Number 1, we won't abandon the run no matter what. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to make everyone but Kelsey beat us. The people that were dropping the ball all season long, we're going to see if they, now all of a sudden that they have kind of showed up in the playoffs, we're going to put it on them for them to win the game. The Rashid Rice and MVS and, Noah Gray. We're going to see if those people are the ones that will be able to ultimately aid Patrick Mahomes in beating us. I don't think it's going to happen. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Just like you can see a team be, all season long, we see how a team is played. Even when, think about the Eagles. All season long, they were winning. They were up to 10-1 when they played us. But what did we say? They're winning, but it's not impressive. It's not the way, we don't think that they're as dominant as their record portrays. It's just the same thing with Kansas City. Kansas City looks good, but if you stick to your script and you play them the way I know that the 49ers will and can play them, we're going to have success. What do you say?
So, Don, listen, there's some things in what you're saying that I like, but I gotta respectfully disagree, because here's the thing. When you talk about how bad the Chiefs played, and when we say how bad, right, we're talking about a standard for them, not the rest of the NFL, for them. They haven't played well, right? And we know their receivers led the league in drops. And for the most part, this same receiving core won a championship last year, okay? which only speaks to the greatness of Mahomes. We didn't even expect the Chiefs to be in the Super Bowl this year. We kind of figured this is not a good team. The receiving core is even worse than what they were last year in terms of their performance. And we see them drop passes all year long. But then all of a sudden we see them perform in the playoffs. They beat Miami. They beat Buffalo on the road. They end up beating Baltimore on the road. And their receivers make catches when it was needed to make catches. But what we're failing to understand is that Mahomes, as we know, is in a whole nother stratosphere. And we when you now give him a really good defense, all right, a ranked 2 defense in the league. They were behind Baltimore. And I think Cleveland, well, them and Cleveland kind of shift back and forth, but they were top 3 defense, and they're top 2 defense right now in the playoffs. They only give up 209 yards in the air, all right, playing really good. 113 yards on the ground, which is pretty much their average through the season. Now, you can say you can run on them, which we clearly saw was the problem in terms of them not doing it. Speaking of Baltimore, their game plan just didn't make any sense, right? Even Lamar, just instinctively being himself, we could not understand. It was completely inexplicable to us why he was not at least using his legs and improvising and doing all the things that he has done all his whole career to at least come to the point where he's a 2-time league MVP. But this is different in the sense where when you look at the Niners are giving up 159 yards on the ground in these 2 playoff games they already played. Your defense is not looking good. And if you got a defense that's not looking good against Jordan Love and against Jared Goff, and you are not playing, where you're getting gashed, where y'all look like y'all had no answers to no concepts, to no kind of retort to the schemes that Detroit was doing in particular, even Green Bay looking for the most part comfortable. Yes, y'all buckled down at the time when they need to be buckled down, but this is a different game now. You're playing in the Super Bowl against the greatest quarterback arguably to ever play the game. This is a preseason game to Patrick Mahomes. In context, okay, we understand the game's gravity, and we're not saying Mahomes is approaching it that way. But when we talk about a guy who knows how to perform at levels, that's the thing that you're not taking into consideration. Like, there's no way you're beating this team off the break. You're going to beat the brakes off them. There's no way you're going to dominate this game. Like, when have you ever seen Mahomes dominated? Yes, we saw Tampa Bay dominate them in the Super Bowl, but we all know what that reason was. They had no offensive line at all. Their starters were out. They just got, and Todd Bowles blitzed the heck out of him. So he stood no chance in that sense, okay? But this is a different team, and this is a different defense. And so, yes, I agree with you, and here's why I do agree with you. I do agree that the 49ers are going to run the ball. They're going to definitely run the ball. They're going to definitely not give up on the run, okay? But it's different. Your game plan changes a little bit when your defense is not playing good. And that's the thing you have to be concerned with coming into the Super Bowl. My defense has not dominated in the playoffs the way they did the whole year. You talk about how y'all dominated all year long. That means nothing now. You should notice the regular season is all out the window. No one cares what you did, the 42s with me and SKRAPP, you know what I'm saying, and beat up. You blew out Jacksonville when they were on a 5-game winning streak, and you dominated teams all year. Yes, you took a bad beat down against Baltimore, but no one ever said, okay, the 49ers, we still consider them the dominant team in the NFC, which they still were, but it didn't matter. Now you're in the playoffs, and you struggle. And again, in my mind, Purdy, who was the best player on the 49ers, to me, he doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. He proved that he was better than the skilled players that have carried them all year long and even last year in these playoff games when the lights are bright and he had to make something happen. Because I told you before, Shanahan has no clue when he's behind. When Shanahan is behind in a game, he has no clue what to do. He drops all you see him fussing on the mic and getting angry. He loses his composure. He's completely out of it because all your little schemes and your backflip motions, all that means nothing. Now what you got to do when you're down, D, you got to drop back and throw the ball. You ain't got time to run motion. You ain't got time to figure stuff out and try to scheme. All that stuff is out the window. You down by 17 now. So you got to drop back and throw the football. Now it's just being a drop back quarterback who can throw. And that's where we saw Purdy, in my opinion, kind of take a step there where he used his legs. He improvised. He was able to just drop back and go through his reads and find the open guy, because that's what it boils down to. Because you don't have that. You're not in that position to be able to manipulate the game the way you want to when you're up by 17 or when you got the first drive of the first quarter. So my thing is this, D, you're playing against an all-world quarterback with a very, very solid defense. And we know, old boy can coach some defense, okay? Their DC Spags is on it in these Super Bowls. And he knows how to scheme. And I think he's got something for Shanahan in this game. I really do. And I believe that you're going to see a team. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, though. I don't think it's going to be a high score. I don't think it's going to be in the 30s. I don't believe it's going to be in the 30s. I know we'll pick scores that later on in the show, I imagine. But D, you're a little confident in it. I won't say confident. You should be confident. But you're a little cocky in this game. The Niners don't look great. And again, if you got to depend on Purdy at this level, not to say he can't do it, but that's not what you're hoping for. You want your skill players and your defense that has not looked good at all against the run. And Pacheco is coming. And you know they running Pacheco. And they're not going to give up on their running game either. So this is good. This is a whole nother level. And I'll end it with this, that again, you're talking about arguably the greatest quarterback to play the game. He got here with mediocre, putrid, rancid receivers for the most part. All year. Even Kelsey didn't have a great year, even though statistically he did. But Kelsey was dropping balls too. But we saw what they did when the moment called for it. That's what champions do. And that's what we haven't seen the 49ers do. We don't know if y'all can do that. We don't know if y'all can perform on this stage and win at this stage, particularly Kyle Shanahan, who I think has all the pressure of winning a Super Bowl more than anybody in that franchise organization.
So based on what you're saying, you think that I get what you're saying about Kansas City's defense. They have a really, really good defense, but you're still going to be able to score. Now, do you think, and even though James, our UK affiliate, says he's not as good as Brady, he is more talented than Brady. He's not as accomplished, but he's better than Brady. From skill to skill, arm talent, mobility, he's better than Brady. Okay? Sorry, David, if you come and watch this on the replay. Patrick Mahomes is better than Brady. But I will say this. If you're basing it off of the skills of their defense, yes, they have a really good defense. But offensively, I think that when you think of their players, as much as you say are we able to elevate in this big game, right? Because we have players that haven't been to the Super Bowl. To a large part, Kansas City, are we sure they have dropped a lot of passes throughout the season? Are you sure that they're going to be able to step up in this game and produce?
They did last year. I mean, Tony, who got all intents and purposes got benched last week, played big in that Super Bowl. Like, they can win easily because they've done it already. That was the worst receiving core you'll probably ever see. Even this year, I would say this year's receiving core is the worst you'll ever see Mahomes have. Because next year they're going to go for Evans, they're going for home runs. I mean, they're going to have some receivers in there, and you already know what's going to happen. So if he got here with that core, the core he's got now, D, and they're making catches when it counts, like I just said, MVS. James is talking about MVS going to MVS things.
Catch was not that okay.
D, he made big catches against Buffalo, and he made big catches. He made big catches against Buffalo. And he made of course, he sealed the catch there, which was a hard catch, by the way, falling on his back to catch that ball with his hands at that while falling back. That was a big catch. So I'm saying, we know MVS is not, I mean, no one's going to mistake him for Jerry Rice or Michael Irvin. But at the end of the day, if he catches when the ball is thrown to him, when he needs to make the catch, that's all that matters. And that's what Mahomes tends to do to get these guys in position. So I don't think we're going to see necessarily a bad game for them. I don't think they're going to have the level of jitters, because for all intents and purposes, outside of what's his name that was there last year, this receiving core is just the same. And Ray Rice, Rice, the other, I can't remember what's his name. His first name again? Rashid Rice, who wasn't there last year, who is a rookie that has balled all year long, and he's not afraid, and he hasn't been the guy. If I'm not mistaken, I mean, James could probably fact check me on this. He hasn't had the level of drops like the other receivers had. He's had a very solid season, and he's trustworthy. He's been consistent. Right, that's the better word to use.
Considering the other receivers that he's had
in comparison to his teammates.
So what I'm saying is, let me ask you a question. Since you're saying that they have an all-world quarterback, a really good defense, and they were able to get to the Super Bowl with a putrid team to the standards of Kansas City over the last couple of years.
Right.
Are you suggesting that the 49ers will not be able to score 21 points against them? Because when the 49ers score 21 points or more, they're 11-0.
No, I don't think you will. I don't think you will. You're not going to go over 24 points in this game. No way.
21. I said 21.
21? No, I'm going to give you, I would say the most points I would give you guys is about maybe 23 points. That's about it. That's about it. But if you don't score over 21, I would not be surprised. This is a really good defense, D. This is really, and I'm going to tell you, you get behind, it's going to be a wrap. You get behind, you get some 3 and outs, you get some stalled drives, and Mahomes gets cooking against the defense. And D, you got to let's talk about this for one quick second. What are your concerns with your defense? Like, I haven't heard you talk about that defense. Like, what's going on? Like, you know, that Scrap used to ignore that defense. I was telling Scrap since week 2. Scrap, your defense is trash, and you're gonna see that's gonna come back to bite you. Nah, we know how to win. We know it, right? And what happened? We saw the trashes in that defense in Philadelphia. And your defense with all pros, because I love Warner. Warner's good. Greenlaw is good. And Mahomes still did what he had to do, even though they shut him down in the second half. But he played against Roquan Smith and Queen Hamilton, who's a good safety / linebacker who can cover well, and Kelsey did him. Okay, so I'm saying if your star players don't show up on defense like they have not in these playoffs, you're gonna be in trouble. So what's your concern with this defense? Talk to me about your defense.
My defense, the only thing that I would like to see more of is more pressure on the quarterback. If we can get to Mahomes, which is not impossible, if you can get to Mahomes, you can impact his play, okay? And so I think from a standpoint, I won't say in our 2 previous playoff games, we were able to, I think you need, as much as you want to speak bad about coming from behind, I think for our psyche and for the confidence of Brock Purdy, we needed to go through that. It's not preferred as a fan base watching your team come from behind, because it's like, oh man, you know. Yeah. But for the players, for Brock Purdy, for Kyle Shanahan, I think it's beneficial to deal with adversity. How do you deal in adversity? And so keep in mind that Kansas City, to a large degree, is a one-dimensional team.
How
you have 2 players. Do you think so? Are you suggesting that Pacheco could not be shut down?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. That's kind of like what I'm saying. I mean, Pacheco is he's a really good back. I mean, you think you're gonna just shut him down? Like, you're gonna make them one-dimensional?
What Baltimore did with allowing Kelsey, listen, at the end of the day, Kelsey, they didn't try to, there was no any type of scheming to take Kelsey away. If you noticed, do you think, based on, let me ask you this instead.
Okay.
Based on the way Kansas City's offense has played for not only the whole season, but in the playoffs, do you think if, for whatever reason, Kelsey is taken away, do you think that impacts, like we had the discussion before with CeeDee Lamb?
Right.
And it happened. It wound up happening. CeeDee Lamb, for the first half of the Green Bay game, or almost 3/4, was completely taken away.
Correct. I agree.
That solely impacted the game. That was the difference maker in that entire game. Of course, it was just the way Jordan Love was able to move the ball. They were running it, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But if your offensive player that you depend on is taken away, if Kelsey is taken away, and I think that should be the focus for the 49ers, to bracket him or take him away, you can afford to focus on taking Kelsey away, because I don't have a lot of faith in the other Kansas City receivers. Patrick Mahomes may be able to throw them open because he has the arm talent, but will they catch the ball? You're putting all of the onus and the pressure is on these players. But keep in mind, a lot of those players a lot of the skill players were in the Super Bowl. There's you know, they were in the Super Bowl, they lost the game, but these are players that are impact players. Now you're expecting MVS and Rashid Rice. He is still a rookie. We have to keep that in mind. Zay Flowers, who played well most of the season, he was a rookie, and in the big game, he made a careless mistake, wind up losing or contributing to them losing the game. So just because they play well doesn't mean the moment is going to be too big for them, is my point.
Yeah, but they've already played in some big moments, D, and they some of those guys got rings right now, and they played well. It's not like Mahomes has won through these playoff games despite his receiver play. The receivers have played well. They've caught balls, and even if you take Mahomes or Kelsey away, which you should, right? That's ideally the way you want to approach this game defensively. You want to take away his most potent weapon, but he's still got guys that can still catch the ball. And Mahomes is, and you talk about making him one-dimensional. And Pacheco, he didn't run the ball well last. He only rushed for like 2.8 yards last week. So, but they stayed consistent. He had 24 carries. He's had over 20 carries in each of these last 3 games they played. So they're feeding him the ball.
But part of that is running out the clock. Part of that, right? You have to take that. But we're talking about, there's a difference in, because Baltimore is making it easy for you and making Lamar a drop back quarterback. And they're when they get the ball, Kansas City is running out the clock. So they're forcing him even more so to double down on trying to catch up and be a drop back quarterback.
Well, right. And that's my point. So what I'm saying is that to even though Pacheco hasn't ran the ball well statistically, he's averaged 4.6 throughout the season, but he's only averaging, I don't even think, barely 3 yards a carry in the playoffs. But the point I'm saying is that they're still maintaining some level of run to the point for the reasons that you just mentioned, which makes sense because the way the score is and the way the flow of the game is dictating that, okay, they're going to still keep running the ball. But you talk about making Kansas City one-dimensional. If there's any team you don't want to make one-dimensional, that's the Kansas City Chiefs. Because Mahomes can beat you without any running back in the backfield. It doesn't matter. He could have they cannot run the ball the whole game.
Not this team. I totally disagree with you. If we make Patrick Mahomes one-dimensional and we force him to solely throw to beat us, they will not beat us.
You don't think Patrick Mahomes has the ability to do that?
No, not with this receiving core. Not with this receiving core. Why not? No, I don't.
Why not? He's done, but that's the point I'm trying to make. They haven't ran the ball well this postseason, and the players and the receiver. They won these games, D, on Mahomes' arm and the Kansas City Chiefs defense. So that's the point I'm trying to make. They haven't ran the ball. How do you think they've been winning these games? It's been off Mahomes and the receivers you think that can't play.
How did they win last week at Baltimore? 3 turnovers. The defense caused 3 turnovers. Flowers got the ball punched out, touchback. That's a turnover.
Okay, that's what I said, the defense. But Mahomes
threw an interception in triple coverage. And didn't they have a sack fumble on what's his name? Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson had 2 turnovers and Flowers. That's how they won. But they scored 17 points.
But D, in those moments, on those crucial, why would it not be? It could be enough because it could be enough because that's a really good Chiefs defense.
You're not going to be able to make the 49ers one-dimensional. It will not happen, Rod. Do you understand?
Y'all wasn't one-dimensional last week, so y'all weren't one-dimensional last week to a degree. Y'all didn't become one-dimensional because Purdy pretty much won that game for y'all on his legs, on his own legs, and his arm. That's how y'all won. McCaffrey didn't win that game last week. Y'all didn't win that game last week on run. Y'all won that game on sheer gut from Purdy, who took the game in his own hands. He outplayed Debo, Kittles, and everybody else. So I'm saying, y'all can't become a one-dimensional team. And if Purdy has to be the guy who's got to win and save the day for the Niners like he did the last 2 weeks.
Whoa, that's not what I said.
What'd you say?
That's the mistake that you're making. When I
what are you
say
saying
if Kansas City is one-dimensional, you have Patrick Mahomes. And if he has to, with that receiving core, to include Kelsey, have to beat you solely with his arm, and they have to abandon the run game, they are finished. They're finished.
So you don't think Patrick Mahomes can beat you still being one-dimensional? D, he was 30 of 39 last week for 241. Very efficient numbers. No turnovers, 1 TD. So what does that say, D? That means when you watch that game in detail, you break that game down last week, They converted third downs when they need to. They kept the drives alive when they needed to. Though they wasn't put up
Did
any
they
points
make an
in the second half.
adjustment on Kelsey? Is the adjustment or the lack thereof of making an adjustment on Kelsey was the game. You can't allow his only and
so
best
you don't think Rashee Rice can get off?
Receiver.
He had 8 catches
No.
he had 8 catches. I mean, only 46 yards, but I'm saying
So that's not getting off. That's not getting off.
No, he doesn't need to get off. But what I'm saying is, I don't think Mahomes. Okay, if you're trying to say Mahomes, if he gets one-dimensional, that's not going to be enough to beat the 49ers. But the truth is, it will be, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if Mahomes keeps drives alive, he doesn't have to light up the scoreboard. He doesn't have to have his receivers catching 10 balls apiece. Then he doesn't need to do that. All he needs to do is continue to keep drives alive, right? Keep the ball moving, killing the clock. That's what Detroit needed to do last week. They didn't even score any points if they would have just.
But the person who was his go-to person to keep the drives alive.
You got Rice is one guy, right?
For 46 yards. So clearly he wasn't the person. So,
but MVS caught a big third. I'm not talking about the game.
That was the end. Yeah, but that's. But look at MVS's numbers for the game, and look at Kelsey.
Those two catches were killers.
For how many yards?
He had 38 yards.
Okay, so Rod, come on, Rod. Seriously,
you think if you make Mahomes one, I understand that you have a better chance maybe to winning, but don't think that is going to be the case, especially when you're deep. Especially, and the only way to make Mahomes one-dimensional, you got to take Pacheco out the game. And y'all haven't been able to take any running backs out the game because Aaron Jones ran against y'all, and so did the back from
I
Detroit.
understand that, but let's not forget that prior to the last 2 weeks, and their playoffs, they're important, right? We haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher for 51 games prior to that. So could it be that those 2 games are outliers, or is that who we are? I think the 51 games prior is more of who we are than the 2 games of allowing them to rush over 100 yards. I'm not concerned about Pacheco one bit. They need to be concerned about CMC. They need to be concerned about Debo. They need to be concerned about Ayuk. Yeah. They need to be concerned about Kittle, because you're not going to be able to take all of them away. You're just not.
Why can't you? What they were taken away last week for the most part. I mean, think about it. Okay, Ayuk got off, and the guys got off. Ayuk got off a little bit because Kittle's had a couple of catches. Let me look at the stats from last week again. But those guys didn't play like you act like they.
You're telling me MVS with 38 yards is impactful, but CMC, Debo, and Ayuk was not impactful? What game were we looking at? They scored. Kansas City scored 17 points. They have not scored much points, and they have, for the second half, which has been our strong suit, the second half, they've been shut out in games.
Right, but your defense hasn't played well, though. That's what I'm trying to say. So how you going to say, you and James are both saying that and it's not like Mahomes hasn't won games strictly on his arm before. It's not like, Mahomes can't take over a game with his arm. Like we gotta stop playing and stop thinking that we're not talking about Jordan Love. We're not talking about Jared Goff or Dak Prescott or Kerry Kittle or even Josh Allen for that matter. Like, this is a defense that can play against good quarterbacks, and Mahomes has taken over games before. So what I'm saying is that we can't sit and act like Mahomes doesn't have the ability to do that. And you're talking about how y'all gonna make anybody one-dimensional? Y'all can't even stop the run. So to make anybody one-dimensional, so you mean tell me you're gonna put everything you got against Pacheco?
We're terrible against the run.
Yes.
Are you that short-sighted
that you're
going to look at two?
You're playing play. You can't go by the Don't you bring in no regular season stats in here. This is not the show for regular season stats.
I'm saying that we have to look at
like that.
We have to look at the totality of how a team plays. Okay. I'm not going to allow you to be short-sighted to make a determination that because 2 teams ran on us that ran the ball, they ran the ball well. Now, keep in mind, is Pacheco as good as Aaron Jones? Is Pacheco as good as Gibbs and Montgomery combined? Are they as good?
No,
the fact that you're thinking about it, I'll
no,
give you,
but what I'm saying is Pacheco,
no.
right, but Pacheco is a very good back. Obviously, they don't have the quarterbacks like Pacheco is playing with. Pacheco's playing with an all-world quarterback. So no one is looking for Kansas City to play it safe and run the ball and kill clock. Like, that's not their method, right? Andy Reid is way too brilliant of a coach. He's got schemes, and he can learn. I mean, he'll out-coach a Shanahan any day of the week. When you come even to the coaching, the edge goes to the Chiefs. When you talk about the play of Pacheco's still a very good running back, D. He averaged 4.6. He had 900-something yards off 200-something carries this year. He was a very solid back for them. He runs violently, he runs hard, and he can get some big chunk runs. He's capable of that, especially against this defense.
I'm not interested in how high his knees are when he runs. I'm interested.
You better be.
I'm not interested.
He's gonna look like Roger Craig from the 80s.
He will not. He will not. And for you to suggest that Patrick Mahomes, who for the most part, and James, thank you for this stat. Let's just put it up.
What's the stat?
30 points 3 times this year. Patrick Mahomes, I suggest to you that they will not be able to keep us.
There y'all go with your regular season stuff.
No.
There you go. Go ahead.
So it's so you can reflect and look at the regular season. When we were talking about the Eagles, and me and you were making we were looking at the score and looking at the outcome, but also taking a deeper dive and saying, yeah, they're winning, but they're not as good as their record may suggest. We can't do that because we're in the postseason. So we shouldn't be able to look at a body of work based on how a team plays and the things that they can utilize to get to ultimately have the victory. You don't think we should be able to do that because the postseason, there's the line of demarcation is at postseason, and everything prior to that shouldn't matter, according to you.
Well, if that's the case, D, then right. But I can flip that around though, D, and say what happened to all of the great defense y'all showed all year, and y'all look bad against Green Bay and you look bad against Detroit. So I'm saying that's why I say don't bring regular season stats, because I can flip the same argument against y'all. So you can talk about how putrid the offense was for Kansas City all year long. They can't score no points. What you think they're going to do? Well, y'all been stopping everybody. Y'all only gave up 63 yards against the run all year. And meanwhile, these last 2 playoff games, y'all are averaging 163 yards on the ground giving up. So that's what I'm saying. You could go either way with the stats when you talk about regular season. None of that means nothing. Right now, we're talking about great players stepping up. The greatest player on that field tomorrow will be Patrick Mahomes. And there is no evidence.
There's no argument there. There's no argument there.
Right. And there's no evidence that the way y'all are playing right now.
If he was playing singles in Wimbledon, that would matter. But since he is playing a football game and he needs a team, that will not be enough. Patrick Mahomes is a great player. He will not be enough solely to beat us. And we're going to make them one-dimensional.
What, D? How?
I don't trust the receiving.
So you think your defense, the way y'all play, y'all run defenses look in these last 2 games.
So
in these last 2 games,
you can reflect the last 2 games, but then you can't look at Kansas City as being shut out in the second half. You don't take anything from that.
No, I do. I do. But that's the greatness of Mahomes. But that's what I'm trying to tell you, though, D. But that's the greatness of Mahomes.
You said Mahomes, he could throw with his left hand, and that's better than what Purdy could do with his right hand, right?
For all intents and purposes, for the most part.
Perfect. Perfect. But
I
was going to wear my gold jacket today for this
D.
show. I'm going to wait till we win the Super Bowl. Our next show, I'm going to have my gold jacket on. I'm going to have all the 49ers stuff.
D, why won't you face reality, though? All right, here's what I would, if I'm in your shoes, here's what I would be saying. If I'm you, if I'm a 49er fan, I would be like, my main concern in this game is our run defense. Is if we're going to stand a chance to win this game, we got to show up on the run. Not, we're going to make it one-dimensional. We're going to shut them down. And you have no evidence of that ever being the case. Y'all did not play well defensively. As well as y'all played all year, y'all did not look good in the playoffs. As bad as the Chiefs have looked receiving core-wise, what has happened? The inverse to that is that they play well in the playoffs. So you got 2 teams that are actually trending in opposite directions based on their regular season performances. Now you're in the Super Bowl, the ultimate game. And if you don't have any concern about the way y'all have been looking on defense, okay, against the teams that y'all played with lesser And when I say lesser, not that they're not good coaches, okay? Because we know Johnson, the OC from Detroit, is a good mastermind coach, and we know LaFleur is coming from your tree, and he was in your building. We know what he can do, and these guys schemed up ways to run on y'all offensively, and they have succeeded. And I mean, in a way where y'all don't even look like the 49ers of the season we saw.
And we'll see if you give me an honest answer.
Okay.
The two teams that we played, Green Bay and Detroit, their skill players, are their skill players outside of the quarterback, are they better than Kansas City? Both teams?
Yeah.
Player for player?
Yeah, they are. So that's the excuse for why they
No.
that?
I'm just asking you. I'm just asking you.
Okay.
I'm saying that there are times where there are things that you will be able to take away from a team. Now, I'll say this. The likelihood of Kansas City being able to run and Kelsey getting off is near zero. Something will be taken away. Kelsey is not going to have the 11 for 11 for 100 plus yards, and Pacheco is going to go off. And if we make them one-dimensional in one way or the other, shutting down Kelsey, limiting Kelsey, and even if Pacheco gets his running yards, it's not going to be as impactful.
But
as
y'all didn't take anybody away in the last two games. I mean, you think about the Detroit game. Amon St. Brown still, I mean, he had 11 targets. He only had 7 of those 11 targets, but he had 87 yards. Laporta had 9 catches for 97 yards. So, I mean, y'all didn't take away their weapons, and they still gassed y'all on the run.
But they have better skill plays. That's kind of my point. They have 4 or 5 skill play. Kansas City doesn't have that. I don't understand what you don't understand.
But they don't need, but what I'm saying is but even if you take away Kelsey, what you should, and it would lessen the opportunities for Kansas City in terms of them being as potent as they can be. But that's the difference maker in this game, is that when you still got a guy like Mahomes who can still throw guys open, who can still they're going to scheme ways to get these other guys open. That's what's made them in this situation today.
Can Noah Gray, MVS, Rashid Rice, Kadarius Toney, if he plays, can they beat the Niners? Is the question. That's what it boils down to.
I think they can. They can. And no one thought that the receivers last year were going to do it. And they played against a better secondary against the Eagles, right? I mean, y'all secondary is good. I mean, Ward is good. And number 30, forget about him. You and I could run routes on that dude and catch the ball. He is. And trust me when I tell you, if you're going to tell me that the receivers that the Chiefs have can't get off on 30, I don't even know his name. I just know he's trash. You know he's trash. James knows he's trash. Every 49er fan knows that dude is Garbolo. And that dude is not going to stop nobody. He's going to look around, get the ball taken out of his hand. He's going to have a bad PI looking around, grabbing his helmet, looking up at this big screen, trying to see, like, what I do. And it's going to be a wrap for him. So what I'm saying to you, D, is that,
I pride myself on being gracious in victory and defeat. But because you are saying these things, come Tuesday's show, there's going to be a vengeance that you have never seen, and we've known each other over 25 years. You're not going to see this side of me coming. I'm telling you. Because listen. Very, very wrong.
Pull that out.
You're wrong.
I want to pull that because Donald, why won't you admit that there is concern with the defense? You just think y'all going to not to say that y'all can't.
There are concerns. There are concerns with our defense.
Okay,
but you also have to take into consideration that the things that we do well, they have a problem with.
Like what, D?
Is there an answer? Let me just ask you a question, because we've had this question and we've mentioned about X factors.
Right.
Our X factors, who do they have that can match Debo's energy, his strength, what he does? Who can match CMC?
Match them how? You talking about somebody on defense, or you talking about the offenses don't play against each other on the field? So I get that.
But what I'm saying is our run game. The fact is, if you look at how Kansas City got to the Super Bowl, the teams didn't choose, for whatever reason, foolishly enough, they didn't choose to exploit Kansas City's greatest weakness.
I agree.
It's not Mahomes. Mahomes is the greatest quarterback ever. That's fine. That's what's going to make it even sweeter. When we win, when we have confetti falling on us, people are crying and holding their kids with the earmuffs on because it's so loud. That's going to make it sweeter. But understand, we're going to run the ball.
But how are you going? But how is your run? Your run game will only be effective, D, if y'all can stop the run. See, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Everything starts with y'all being able.
You said we didn't stop the run, right? You said
y'all haven't stopped the run all playoffs.
Yet we still got 2 victories. So obviously,
okay, and they haven't ran the ball well, and yet they still got 2
bid,
victories.
We took a bid and no break.
We can flip it both ways. You can flip that argument either way.
But teams did not, especially Baltimore, did not try to take their only weapon, their only apparent weapon away, which was Travis Kelce. They didn't take him away. They didn't even try. You're not going to let somebody have 9 for 9.
Hamilton is an all-first-team All-Pro.
He can be an all-first.
No tight ends. He only gave up 2 catches. He's one of the best coverage safeties in the league. No, he only gave up 2 catches on tight ends all year long before he met Travis Kelce. Okay, and that's against some good tight ends in his division with Nkoku or whatever the dude, I forget I pronounce his name. And the dude from Cleveland, Joker. He's played against some good tight ends, and he has shut tight ends down. But then he met a savvy vet in Kelce, a world champion guy who's been at that level before. See, and that's the thing that people are not giving Kansas City credit for. Maybe we become immune to their success, but this is a team that knows how to turn it up and win when the lights are on, and that's what they did against Baltimore. So yes, I agree with you. I don't know what Greg Roman was doing, not running the ball, whatever he was doing there. I don't know what it was. That was a dumb.
It's not Greg Roman.
Not Greg Roman. That was their former OC. What's his name?
Munkin.
Mostert or whatever. Not Mostert.
Munkin.
Whatever.
Isn't it Todd Munkin?
Munkin. Yeah, Todd Munkin. I don't know what he came in with the game plan. And again, we already talked about Lamar not even using instinctively his own legs. But D, what I'm trying to tell you is that every excuse or whatever you're trying to say that the Niners can do to win or what we've already overcome in spite of our failures, the same is the thing with the Niners. I mean, the Chiefs. The Chiefs been dropping balls all year long, and they're here. Why? Because when the moment mattered, they rose to the occasion. The Niners have been beating the brakes off everybody all year. But now that it matters, we don't see them winning in that convincing fashion anymore. We thought they were going to blow the brakes off Green Bay. What did Shanahan do? Well, after the second play of the game, I just started focusing on Green Bay. Well, clearly, whatever game plan he had for Green Bay really didn't work, because the truth be told, that game should have been won by Green Bay if Love doesn't try to make a heroic across the body throw with coverage of 3 guys. That didn't make any sense.
That could be said about Josh Allen and the Bills. That game could have been won if Josh Allen didn't go for the home run ball and hit what's his name, Diggs.
I agree.
So we can go there both ways.
That's what I'm saying. So D, you're right, and I concur with you there. But what I'm saying then, if we take away all of those, if those things cancel themselves out, now let's look at the facts. The facts is that the Niners, a team who has been well endowed with success against the run all year long, and you come into these playoffs, okay? Aaron Jones, you should have been focusing on from the rip, right? They got good young receivers, but Aaron Jones is the dude. He was averaging 5 straight 100-yard games in a row or whatever. Aaron Jones
had really 2 good runs on us that brought him over 100 yards.
But he still had some success. But in that first half, he was still, receivers. It was the way it was looking. Was it not?
Optics is fine. But at the end of the day, there was a W and there was an L.
Oh, of course, no, not taking away from that. No. Listen, I told you.
Aaron Jones didn't have the impact that he had against the Cowboys. He had 3 touchdowns
not at all.
against the
Not at all.
Cowboys.
No, not at all. In fact, y'all played them way better than what we did. I mean, I'm not even going to go in. I don't even know when we talk about with Tank and what he said on First Take, and all the Cowboy players screamed on him for that too. But anyway, what I'm saying,
they had restless leg syndrome. That's why. That's why.
Restless. Yeah, that's usually what usually does it, right? That's what knock you out at home in the first round of the playoffs. Your restless leg syndrome. I like that. That's usually what happens. But here's the thing, though, D.
Oh my goodness.
I told you, I gave Purdy credit in the Niners, and you said this. Psychologically, there is an advantage for the Niners to see themselves come back and have a tough win in the playoffs. And that's why I say for me, okay, and I know you're going to feel I'm being facetious or I'm trying to placate you or patronize you. I promise you, D, I'm not. I think Purdy has proven what he needs to prove. I did not think Purdy would ever step up in the playoff games in the way that he did, particularly against Detroit. I have to give him credit. I think Mr. Irrelevant, and you think he's going to have to shake that moniker all his career. I don't think so. Remember, we done forgot a long time ago that Brady was a 6th-round pick. In the first half of Brady's career, when he won those 3 Super Bowls, that was the defense, right? Brady was a game manager for the most part in those Super Bowl wins and during those seasons. It was the defense that carried them. Then the second half of that dynasty, it was all Brady. And at some point, we will forget that Purdy was the last pick in the draft. Now, the last pick versus the 6th pick is a little different, but still at the end of the day, we forget that Brady
199 to 262 is a big difference.
It's a big difference, but the principle of the overcoming element of it is still the same. Brady is no longer, we forgot that he was actually, now we're saying, why wasn't this man picked in the first round, right? Purdy, I think.
And we're not saying that yet about Brock Purdy. We're not saying that in his first 2 years, what he's been able to accomplish.
I don't think he should have been. He should. Yeah, no, I don't think he was.
You think he should have been the last 262?
No, he should not have been. No.
Yeah.
Purdy's a good quarterback, D. And you know why I say he's a good quarterback? Because he showed up in the playoffs when it counted, and he was the best player on your team. In spite of all you got all world. You've been saying it all show long. We got Jim Brown. We got Jerry Rice. Okay, you've been saying all game, all show long.
It was just a point of reference that Kansas City, even with their good defense, is not going to be able to take all of those players away. We have too many impact players, and based on our conversation, you're giving us no shot. You really think it's going to be a low-scoring game? Yeah. They're going to be able to shut us down. We may not score over 17 points. Kansas City is going to have their way.
Get more than 24 points. I don't think y'all going to get. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think Mahomes is going to be the difference in the game. I don't think y'all are going to get blown out. No, I don't think so. Y'all better not. I mean, don't give Mahomes what you gave Jared Goff by halftime, because it's you're going to get eyes. You're going to have so many eyes in your text chat, D. Those eyes, you're going to have 20 eyes. It's going to be so many eyes coming at you in that chat, bro. Like, you're going to need glasses to see those eyes, bro. You're going to have to put another pair of glasses on, because it's going to come. But that's not going to happen, though, D. That's not going to happen. It's going to be a close game. I think Mahomes going to make the difference. Look, the Niners are a really good team. We know that. The Niners are a good team. But I want to see Shanahan. I want to see what Shanahan
is always, it doesn't matter what we do. People like you are always going to say, but I want to see. But I want to see. But I want to see.
You don't want to see that? You don't want to see. Do you want to see Shanahan? D, let me ask you a question. Do you don't think Shanahan has something to prove in here? Don't you want to see Shanahan see if he can overcome these moments right here?
Of course. Of course.
You don't want to see that?
Of course, Kyle Shanahan wants to get the W. He wants to game plan and set up schemes to be successful against Kansas City. And I think he will do that, and he'll do it with excellence. I think he's going to have a game plan that puts all of his skill players, his quarterback, running back, receivers in the optimal position to be successful. And it's going to be on full display. I totally agree with that. The amount of pressure. So this is what everyone says. You said in the show, Kyle Shanahan is under immense pressure, man, because this team is set to win now. And there is validity to everything you said. But who is under, I think, more pressure? Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is under way more pressure than Brock Purdy, than Andy Reid. Let me tell you why. Okay. There's a difference from being arguably the best quarterback ever and you get beat by Mr. Irrelevant. It's a pride thing for him, right? It's amount of pride, because Brock Purdy, if he loses, you're still 262. Nobody cares about you.
That's not
But
true.
if Patrick Mahomes, yes, it does.
That's not true. That's not true.
It does. But if Patrick Mahomes loses to Mr. Irrelevant, that's a knock on him. So he's under more pressure than Brock Purdy is.
I don't think anybody will look at that.
Okay.
I don't think. In other words,
as everyone gives him no shot, Brock Purdy and the 49ers to really win. Even though we're favorite. Who do you think it would look worse on? Who gets the emotional and the clout bump? If Brock Purdy beats arguably the best quarterback ever,
he gets the praise for that.
Or if the best quarterback loses to Mr. Irrelevant?
No one's gonna care, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because
Nah.
the truth it is for Mahomes, no one's looking at saying to Mahomes, you got to beat Purdy. You got to win this game to do what? To cement his legacy? The Chiefs are going to be back in the Super Bowl again, bro. Trust me when I tell you, and you know that for yourself.
Niners will too.
Well, right, but I'm saying, but when we talk about the legacy that is being established right now and right before our eyes with Mahomes, if Mahomes loses to Purdy, no one's gonna say, "Oh man, you lost to Mr. Irrelevant." Nobody's gonna. Not if Mahomes, especially if Mahomes, plays an otherly world game and they still lose. It doesn't take away from his legacy. You talking about a guy who's been to 4 Super Bowls in 5 years, huh?
Are you suggesting that Brock Purdy could not outplay Patrick Mahomes in a game?
No, he could, but what I'm saying, no, wait, before you change the narrative, let's go back to your point. Purdy will get praised for beating Mahomes, but Mahomes' legacy will not be tainted or any way blemished for losing this game if they lose to the 49ers and Brock Purdy. No one's going to say that,
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
No one's going to say that. No.
And this is basketball. Did LeBron James get a knock for losing to the Mavericks, a team of just misfits and everybody with tattoos up to their nostrils?
Okay,
did he get a knock on that?
You know why he got a knock?
Because
LeBron hadn't won anything yet. They lost their first finals trip in Miami to
they had a
Dallas.
super team, not 4, not 5, not 6, and they lost to the Mavericks, which had a whole bunch of Band-Aids and people thrown together.
But what led up to that game? You look at LeBron's legacy. LeBron was already clearly the best player in the NBA at that point in time, right? Took a bad
Mahomes is the best player in the league. Okay, so I'm drawing the comparison.
But Mahomes has chips. This is his 4th Super Bowl in 5 years, D. Like you can't. There's no way losing to Purdy is going to tarnish that, because we all expect Mahomes to at least get 2 to maybe 3 more chips at the most. I don't think he'll beat Brady in chips, but that's the point I'm trying to make. His upside and what he's already done, D, is way too much formidable for anybody to say, "Oh, you lost to Mr. Irrelevant." Now, Mr. Irrelevant beats him. He's going to get a lot of praise for that. He'll be the only one to go down in the legacy. Only you and Tom Brady
were the only ones to beat Mahomes. Has nothing to lose, is what you're saying. He has nothing to lose.
I don't think so. No, I don't. I don't think he has anything to lose. He has nothing to lose.
I like that.
But you know what the narrative is going to be? You know what the narrative, and I'm not saying for me, but you know what the narrative is going to be in national media, and what most people are going to say? He did a lot with the best that he had, right? That's what you're going to get, especially if it comes down to a drop or the other players not stepping up to the moment, right, and letting him down. That's exactly what's going to happen.
I thought he did with a
No, I'm saying that's what the national media is going to say.
So people are going to move the goalpost, basically, what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but you know why they're going to move the goalpost, D? Because he has too much cachet. Because Mahomes has too much cachet. Is that going to take away? Right, so that's what I'm saying. So they're not going to say to him, if you lose to Purdy, now all of a sudden, what's the narrative going to be?
Do you think Eli Manning cares? Do you think Eli Manning cares about Tom Brady being considered the GOAT if you beat him? You think he cares at the end of the day?
Okay. No, he doesn't. But let me inverse that.
You think
do you think Brady cares? But do you think did that tarnish Brady's legacy when he lost to Eli Manning twice? What did that do to his legacy?
He had to keep winning. That's what.
And you don't think Mahomes is going to keep winning?
He's going to keep winning. But initially, that's a knock. You can't tell me 17-1 and losing to Eli, it didn't tarnish Brady.
That was
you can't tell me in that moment.
But did you not think that Brady and them was going to still win some more Super Bowls before it was all over, D?
Yeah,
Did you not think that? All right, so that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. So him losing
you're saying
to Manning didn't mean anything to him.
It
I mean, it means something to him. But what I'm saying, but it didn't affect his legacy. We're talking about legacy. Are you saying that that Mahomes is going to have his legacy is going to get messed up if he loses on Sunday to the Brock Purdy?
No. What I'm saying is, if you're saying that Patrick Mahomes is going into this game, and everybody has said he is chasing Brady, right?
Right.
That's the only person that's ahead of him. Arguably, I agree. He's chasing Brady.
I agree.
They're now even disrespecting what's his name. So they're saying he's solely chasing Brady, right, as the GOAT.
Right.
They're not even looking at Montana anymore. Right. It's Brady and Mahomes.
Sure.
If that is the case,
right,
losing to someone that is arguably or people have called based on his draft status and his pick, Mr. Irrelevant, has to impact, even if it's in the moment, until you're able to win and get on the side of winning Super Bowls again, that has to impact you. So there is pressure.
There's pressure, but I think pressure in catching Brady. Agree with your point there.
Good dynasty.
He's only in comparison, but the Chiefs dynasty, I don't think. Now they do got to win another chip. To get 3. I think there's 3 Super Bowls at the minimum to be considered.
And if Brock Purdy 262 stands in your way and prevents you from getting not only a back-to-back, that doesn't, you don't think that
I don't because again, D, he's going to win more Super Bowls. That's the argument that people are going to make, which is a valid, plausible argument that Mahomes is still going. If he loses Sunday, he could still win more Super Bowls. Like Brady was going to win more Super Bowls even after he got defeated by Manning.
We think Brock Purdy, this is a one and done situation. Like he can't win anymore. Being 262, being only 2 years in, being able to go to NFC Championship,
and he'll be chasing Mahomes, right? Then he'll be chasing Mahomes. But if Mahomes comes back next year and wins another Super Bowl, right? Then that's 3 Super Bowls, 5 in what? That'll be 5 in 6 years, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. Like that's mind blowing. That is mind blowing.
And that's a good point.
No way his legacy gets hurt. I don't think Mahomes is going to win that many more Super Bowls. AFC too tough, and Mahomes costs too much money. No, Mahomes does what Brady does, though, Toby. Mahomes is going to adjust his contract the same way that Brady did, because why? He wants to win these Super Bowls. He wants to catch Brady. So he's going to get friendly contract. They're going to restructure his deal. They're going to put a lot of ghost years on the back end of his contract. They're going to mortgage their future to pay for their now, like all good teams do. And that's what they're going to do. So Mahomes is not, no, it ain't like Dak Prescott and all these other guys that want to take the bag and then you leaving the team depleted with nobody to play with. No, he's going to do that.
There's going to be, now, I had mentioned this before on another show or whatever.
Okay.
The parallels that you have to add or introduce into catching someone like Brady, you have to have the consistency in coaching. Some things, outside of skill, Brady to Mahomes is way more talented than Brady. But when you factor in consistency of coaching, that's going to factor in. Do we really think Andy Reid is going to stay coaching another 8 years? Do we really think Kelsey? I don't know if he's trying to get married. I don't know if he's going on with his podcast. I don't know if he's ready to start a family with Taylor Swift. So his window is short.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So the players and the familiar players that have made it a dynasty or arguably a dynasty, that's going to go away.
Why? But
Patrick
they won without
Mahomes
Tyreek Hill. They won without Tyreek Hill. They'll replace. Look, at some point they'll figure out some viable replacements for Kelsey. They're going to figure out replacement, and next year they're not coming back with that same receiver.
They're going to come right, and
they're getting guys off the free, especially Mike Evans.
What's going to motivate them to actually retool and get people? Like they could have had DeAndre Hopkins, and Mike Evans is going to be available, and maybe Diggs. Stephon Diggs might be available. Everybody, they might be available. They're going to retool. This whipping that they get on Sunday is going to motivate them.
You see this, America? He said
they're
whipping.
Going to get
you said a whipping. You said you was going to whip Baltimore. You said you was going to whip the Packers. You said you was going to whip Detroit. You was going to show everybody how to beat those teams. And y'all, you got the brakes beaten off you by Baltimore at home. And you barely won by your chin against Green Bay and Detroit. And if Detroit doesn't have the drops that they had on those third down plays and the fourth down play and bad play calling.
Did Detroit beat Kansas City?
Yes, they did. By what? How did that happen? By what?
They beat them. It doesn't matter.
It was a drop. If Tony doesn't drop that ball on that final drive, Mahomes is scoring on that. He's scoring on that drive. You know that, right?
If you just do a Google search at the score, the description of the game is not going to be based on a Kadarius Toney drop. It's a win and a loss.
You see how he does this?
It's a win and a loss, right?
But D, how you look going into this is D. Let me tell you what he's doing in here, America. This is D way of trying to whitewash all of the bad play that the Niners have had in these playoff games. And he thinks that he's going to come in and play the same way against Mahomes. It's not going to work. You give Mahomes chances like you gave Love and Jared Goff, and you think that Andy Reid is going to do the bonehead coaching stuff, and you called it, kudos to you, D, on Mr. Biting kneecaps and was going to make an aggressive play call that was going to hurt his team. You called it, but that's not Andy Reid. They're going to play smart football, and you're not going to give them the same opportunity. You should not, at least, the same opportunity you gave lesser degree quarterbacks and Patrick Mahomes against a better defense, because Detroit has no secondary. Green Bay was a pack of running. They was in the middle of a pack defense.
Both of those teams that we faced had better skill players. If we're taking it from an offensive standpoint, because yes, you have to play defense, but you have to be able to score points too, right? You have to be able to score points. It's not going to be solely on. Do you think that Kansas City's defense is good enough to win if the offense only puts up 17 points? Is 17 points good enough to beat us?
No, I do. But D, what did your offense do in the first half against Detroit? And that's a lesser defense. They have no secondary.
What did we do in the game?
In that first half. And again, if it wasn't for the butterfly catch, the ladybug catch, okay, that put y'all in position, and some things bounce y'all way. And then, of course, the fumble.
You and Corey come up with only the halftime stats. You only want to talk about half the game. There is 4 quarters to a football game. There's 4 quarters.
But y'all didn't look good in the first 2 of those fourth quarters. So don't tell me about your offense looking good against the Kansas City defense, and y'all couldn't look good against Green Bay's defense initially, and you didn't look good against Detroit's defense. So don't you? And y'all came out and only scored 3 points on your first drive in the second half. If it wasn't for the fumble, it wasn't for the fumble. Even if it wasn't for the ladybug catch,
he's on his iffy. Then he's on his iffy again. If it wasn't for the Bronx.
Listen.
If it wasn't for the Bronx, right?
James, if you're honest, okay, tell me you're not concerned about the way your defenses look in these last 2 games, and how your offense has struggled too. Because again, Purdy, not Kyle Shanahan, he gets 0 credit for that win against Detroit. 0. Shanahan, stop coaching. He said, guys, y'all have to figure it out, because I don't know what to do when we in these situations anyway. I have no more play calls. I don't know. I have no more motions left to run. You got to drop back and throw the ball, Purdy. Make something happen. And that's exactly what Mr. Irrelevant did. He bailed Shanahan out, because y'all was about to lose another NFC Championship game. So if it comes down, so don't talk about your offense scoring going to look like whatever y'all going to look like with all these weapons against a way better defense with Kansas City. Against Spags, who knows how to coach defense in Super Bowls at that. Listen, don't tell me that. Because y'all did not look efficient in these last 2 games against Green Bay and Detroit. Y'all were not looking all world. Kittles and lifting up the shirt and all that. And you ain't see none of that. None of that. What did Bosa do? Bosa was breathing air, inhaling like, oh my God, when y'all barely beat Green Bay.
He
was scared to death because he knew.
What did he do against Detroit? Did he have 2 sacks? What did he do?
Right, but D, don't tell me your offense. You're trying to make the argument that your offense is going to look better. You're trying to do. No, is this what you're doing? You're diverting and trying to throw away from the bad defensive play by saying we got weapons on offense and we're going to be able to overcome our weapons on offense. But your weapons on offense, D, have not been dominating against lesser defenses. So what do you think is going to happen against the Kansas City Chiefs, who got better corners, better safeties, they got better pass rush, they got better linebacker play, they're way better than Detroit and Green Bay. So, no, you can't assume that y'all going to blow anybody out. Your offense has not looked efficient. It was Purdy who put it on his shoulders to will y'all to those wins. Had nothing to do with Shanahan. The defense looked bad, and your star players had to rely on Purdy to make things happen, particularly with his legs against Detroit. So you think that that's what y'all going to end up doing against the Chiefs that are way better defense? No way, D. You better stop coming into this game with this level of bloviating confidence that you're not confidence. It's arrogance. It's pure disrespect for the greatest quarterback to ever play the game against a number 1 defense, against a team that knows how to win, been there before, got weapons to do it, and no respect for those receivers who have shown up in the playoffs, looking well, making catches when they needed to make catches.
Are you talking about
what happened in the regular season. They are in championship level mode right now. Say it again.
Are you talking about 49ers or Kansas City?
I'm talking Kansas City. So you disrespecting the Chiefs because you got weapons. Your weapons have not shown up in these playoffs.
Right. Huh? You're disrespecting the 49ers. You're disrespecting the fact of what we've been able to put on tape all year long. To include the playoffs. To include the playoffs.
Are you getting a regular season argument in the? Are you talking regular season in a? We're about to go into a Super Bowl, and you talking about a regular season when your team did not show any regular season dominance in the playoffs.
Believe it or not, somebody on this show, one of those little, one of the guys with the beards, even though we were talking about Super Bowl, brought up their kicker. We have a good kicker, right? So please don't talk about regular season not being introduced. I'm talking about from beginning to end, from the first week of the regular season to last week or 2 weeks ago when we played. Our team has displayed the fact that we have a bend but don't break. Sometimes we don't play our best game. But if we're honest, you need a little bit of luck. There is a little bit there.
Okay, there. Hold on. Don said you need, I gotta get this in writing, a little bit of luck. So this will stay in the comments forever.
Yeah.
All right.
I mentioned that before.
All right.
When Tom Brady.
Okay. So what was the little bit of luck? The drop that Detroit had? Was that part of the luck?
When Tom Brady came back, I'm going to give you an example like I did before. When Tom Brady came back from Atlanta when they was 28-3, there was luck involved in them coming back. We all focus on they stopped running the ball when they were running for 7 yards a clip. But there was some luck. There was some lucky catches. There was some deflections that Edelman caught. There was some luck involved in that. And if you think of a lot of Super Bowl victories, there is, let you tell it, the catch that had you on your couch crying. Which threw 3 interceptions and had a fumble. The person that Dwight Clark made the catch on had 2 interceptions. There is something to be said about, in the moment, things happening that are pivotal that can change the game. And if we talk about lack of respect, Brock Purdy, even though he has had this type of success over the last 2 years, we're talking body of work, he has still been disrespected and discounted as being a flash in the pan, somebody that is here today, gone tomorrow. Oh, well, we've seen this with Jimmy G. We've seen this with, this person or that, but we saw this.
There's some legitimacy to that, though, D. He does have to win a Super Bowl. He right now has done nothing different than Jimmy G has, to the degree of as far as taking the team where they are right now. Now, I believe he plays.
You talk about eye test. Your eye test doesn't tell you that he's better than Jimmy G.
The eye test is confetti and holding up the Lombardi Trophy. That's the eye test when it's all said and done. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are really good, but did not win it all. There's a lot of quarterbacks better than Garoppolo. Purdy is better than Garoppolo, but Purdy still has to win. He still has to win the Super Bowl. Otherwise, what did he do that Garoppolo didn't do? Garoppolo did the same thing. He brought y'all to a championship game. He brought you to a Super Bowl. And he did not. And he's the reason for what most people say is the reason why y'all couldn't get over the top. So right now, there is some truth. I believe there's some validity to that argument. Now, me personally, I don't consider Purdy a flash in the pan anymore. He's not. You can't say that because of what he did in these last 2 games. And that's all I'm trying to tell you, D.
Well, what are you talking about then?
So my point is, you're saying not to dismiss the regular season. Yes, the regular season is what got you into the playoffs and got you into your seeding and got you your home field advantage. But what I'm saying, though, D, is that you can't dismiss that your defense has not looked well against the run and your offense has not looked efficient in these playoffs against Green Bay and Detroit, lesser defenses than the Chiefs. So how are you coming into this game tomorrow? Talking about y'all gonna beat the brakes off the Chiefs. You're gonna blow them out. You got all these weapons. You naming all these Hall of Famers that you want to pull out from every decade, all Madden teams that you pulling out there. And meanwhile, none of those guys have looked good. Your Mr. Irrelevant is the guy that had to win y'all and will y'all to win. So what I'm saying is that that's going to be different against the Kansas City Chiefs,
I appreciate
who you're
that
dismissing
you're saying that.
as a regular team.
So the player that has gotten no recognition the majority of the season, or since he's been a starter, you're now saying has looked the best in the playoffs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So Purdy. So based on what you're saying, yeah. I like what you said. Actually, I appreciate that. The person that gets no recognition, no credit for our team's success, looked the best in the playoffs.
Yes, he did.
So what happens if those players who most people said contributed to us being where we're at, what if they show up? Blowout. That's what happened.
What if they have to show up against us? But D, if they didn't show up against bad defenses, what makes you so confident that they're going to show up against the Chiefs? Can they show up? Yeah, they can. These are all-world, all-pro players. Kittles and Debo and Ayuk, who's an all-pro this year, right? You checks and you got Trent Williams and you got players on your offensive team. Yes. I expect them to show up. I think they can because they have proven that they can throughout the regular season and in their careers. But at the end of the day, D, don't be so certain. All I'm trying to knock down is your certainty and your bloviating arrogance to think that y'all going to come in here and just now blow the doors off the Chief defense. That is a good defense. It's a number 1 ranked defense. They don't have a lot of weaknesses on their defense, and Spags is a good DC. He's from the old school. So all that Shanahan movement, that ain't doing nothing to him. He's going to be prepared for this game, D. This game is going to come down to scheme. It's going to come down to great players making great plays in the moments. And that's where you cannot just think your team has the edge when you're playing against a good defense and the all-world quarterback. I don't care what their receivers look like. As long as they catch the ball, it's going to make a difference. That's all I'm saying. Can y'all win this game? Yeah, y'all can. That's why they got y'all favorite.
No. Don't say yeah. Don't say yeah.
But
you said no you said no for an hour and 15 minutes. Don't say yeah now.
Y'all not going to win because, again, you know what I'm saying? D, I'm going to tell you why. I don't believe the Niners are going to win. Because I don't think nothing. Steve Wilkes, I'm going to tell you right now, he's gone after this year. I promise.
Doesn't matter.
You. And you know why he's going to be gone? Because Shanahan don't like it. And I'm telling you now, he has done nothing different. Nothing different. Everybody's doing. I guarantee they're gonna run the ball almost the same way. And you got Andy Reid, a mastermind, offensive mind. And you think if guys like Detroit, their OC, and what LaFleur, who was a student to Shanahan, okay? Do you after what they did in that running game?
Matter? Right. Does personnel matter? Does personnel matter?
Personnel does matter.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
So you can have the mastermind brain. You could be a genius with offense. If you don't have the personnel to execute, it doesn't matter.
Did your personnel execute though, D? Has your personnel executed at a high level in these playoff games?
We're in the Super Bowl, right?
Well, y'all are, because I'm gonna tell you why. Again.
So we executed.
Because y'all relied on, right? Because if Mr. Irrelevant,
now we relied on.
He provides his way to that win,
and we won. We're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, y'all are. No one's taking that away from y'all.
Right?
But you're talking about, it's not about the schemes and the coaches. It's about personnel who can execute. Well, y'all got schemes and coaches, and you got personnel. But your personnel didn't show up. Y'all haven't looked efficient in these playoffs, D. Y'all had two very losable games in both these games. If Purdy didn't show up.
So Kansas City, they just steamrolled. Are you saying Kansas City steamrolled through the playoffs? They looked like they couldn't be beat? Are you telling me that?
Okay, can I tell you a question?
Did you watch the Buffalo game? You must not have watched the Buffalo game. I'm not saying that
they steamrolled, but did they look inefficient? Did they look? In fact, they actually excelled in these playoffs, in their performance than they did in the regular season.
I don't.
They didn't look like the team that lost to the Raiders and the Broncos. This was a team that excelled in the playoffs.
I'm talking in the last two games, right?
Okay.
Because we didn't play. They played one more playoff game than us, right?
Right.
Because we were number 1 seed. In their 2 playoff games,
right,
they blew the doors off, and you were highly impressed in how they looked. You're not taking into consideration what the opposing team didn't do. You're only focusing one-sided. You're only looking at the game this way.
So can you say that way with Detroit and what they didn't do? So in other words, we could say the same thing again with Detroit. You only won that game because of what Detroit didn't do. Is that a fair argument then? If you're going to say the same for Kansas City,
our defense showed up in the second half.
How did it show up in the second half? It wasn't for those drops. Those are drops. Y'all defense had nothing to do with them drops.
Did we get a fumble? Did we cause turnovers? Did we 3 and out?
A fumble because the guy ran the wrong way. Never really
had control of the ball. That's not our problem.
So it's not the Kansas City's problem. What Baltimore? What Buffalo didn't do, or what Baltimore didn't do. That's not their problem. What are they supposed to tell them? Hey guys, you need to run more against us. That's not their problem. San Francisco ain't gonna say to the receivers, hey, you need to catch those balls. They drop those balls. You can't make one argument one way and then not have that same argument apply on the other side when it comes to your team. You can't have them both ways, D. Don't work that way. You have to understand that at the end of the day, and if what's his name doesn't fumble at the goal line against the Buffalo game, that game was a wrap. After that fake punt, and they was able to score, that game would have been a wrap.
What happens if Flowers punches it in? What if Flowers doesn't extend the ball and it gets punched out? And they
win that game. Yeah, they probably would win that game. I would probably say they probably would win that game. They probably would. Yeah, that's a touchdown. So it's 17-17. Give them that point, and then we see what happens then. Then we'll really see what they're going to do. Then we're really going to see what's going to happen. Who you got your money on if it's 17-17 going into an overtime game? You got your money on Mahomes or Lamar Jackson? Who you putting your money on, D?
I would put it on Lamar Jackson if he played. If he played, let me explain to you. If Lamar Jackson was not in his mind forcing himself to be a pocket quarterback, if he played within his full skill set, they had the number one defense. Like, you're talking about defense. Baltimore had the number one defense. They were at home. They have a Hall of Fame kicker, right? Lamar Jackson is his legs is a video game. So you don't think
D. Now, you had no vested interest in that game per se, right?
No, I didn't.
If somebody says you, Don, this is it. Your life was on the line, Don. Who you taking in an overtime game between Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson? And even considering the way the game looked up until that point,
who gets the ball first?
Who you getting?
Who gets the ball first?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who gets the ball first. Okay. Or okay, I'll tell you what. Let's bring the scenario in. Who you taking? Right. If who you want to have the ball first in their hands in an overtime situation? You rather see Mahomes at the last, or you want Lamar Jackson to get that ball to begin the overtime? There's only one possession, and you can only pick one quarterback to have that possession. Who will it be?
Based on how Baltimore played this year, it would be Baltimore. How they would dominate
AFC Championship game. Now, mind you said all year long. And Mahomes is a man that has been at this stage 6 years straight.
They beat 6 playoff teams in
and
this
he's been in 6
playoff.
straight AFC Championship games in overtime. And you mean to tell me you're going to take Lamar Jackson because he got a regular season wins over a guy who's been in a 6 straight AFC Championship games in an overtime game, and only one team can get the ball, and you're telling me you're going to choose Lamar Jackson, a regular season quarterback, over a two-time world champion, Super Bowl MVP champion double times, 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls he's been in of the last 4 years, and 6 straight AFC Championship games, and you tell me you're going to pick Lamar Jackson over Mahomes? This is America. Okay, America.
In that scenario,
I'm gonna chalk this up because D's excited about tomorrow.
In that scenario, if you're thinking about it, he's playing at home. You're not taking into consideration a few things. Number one, this is the first time Patrick Mahomes had to be on the road for an AFC Championship game. That's first off. The way Baltimore has played and dominated all season long. The way Lamar Jackson, who just won a second MVP, had been playing. The weapons that he had on the outside. There are other factors to make that determination. In a vacuum, I couldn't make it just like that.
What, D? In that game that you just saw, in that AFC Championship game, up until that point, and they said, okay, Donald, you're going to be the one to determine the outcome of this game based on the quarterback you choose to have the ball first, who can get it done, who could win with that level of pressure on him, okay? This is talking about Zay Flowers, because somebody brought up, I think it was Toby, or somebody brought up if Zay Flowers didn't fumble the ball or something like that, right? He gets in, he scores. Let's just give them those points. Now they're tied. You mean to tell me, Donald, even with the way that game was going, but you're going to take Baltimore, a team that arguably, from most people's position, thought that they was going to blow or should have blown Kansas City out at home? Better, they got a good defense, and Lamar Jackson is arguably the MVP at that time, right? Ultimately, that came to pass. You mean to tell me you still going to take him over Patrick Mahomes, a guy who's been at that thing before? And being on the road means nothing to Patrick Mahomes. We clearly see that. That means nothing to him. Being on the road at home
this
in
year,
your backyard,
we know
backyard,
that. We know that now. We know that now. This is the first time he had to do it, so we don't know that.
So, but you still don't think he's better than Lamar Jackson in a situation like that?
He's better than Lamar Jackson, yes.
So why would you not take Mahomes over Jackson?
It's not him playing against Lamar Jackson. It's Patrick Mahomes playing against the number one.
No, I'm saying, but who do you
defense
think would get the job done? Okay, so but if your life is on the line and you had to depend on a guy to get it done.
I'm not putting my life on the line.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, this is all fun. I'm saying. Okay, all right, no, okay. Let me not. Okay, we won't say life on the line. But let's just say, okay, there's $1,000 on the line. D, you can win a nice, cool $1,000. Who you taking? A nice, cool $1,000 is yours. And who you think who could overcome that moment?
If we're not having now at this point, we're Monday morning quarterbacking because we know the results of the game. Given the fact that to this point, I'll say this.
Okay.
This to me, this sums up Kansas City's playoff run this season. Miami is a fraud. Never believed in them. Only you and Corey believed in them. They're trash. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes has a mental edge over Josh Allen. He is in Josh Allen's head. Josh Allen, whether they play in Buffalo, Kansas City, they play at Josh Allen's house, Patrick Mahomes will beat him. Going into the AFC Championship game, Lamar Jackson and the way they have played with the number 1 defense and offensive weapons, I thought that they would be able to beat them. And most people thought, based on, so you're telling me that the way spreads and favorites and all that stuff has nothing to do with the regular season or the regular season or maybe even the game or two prior to that? They were dominant, so it wouldn't be apparent that immediately, given that scenario, Patrick Mahomes being on the road, do I trust him? Do I think he would be able to score? Yes. But if it was a Lamar, you have everything at your disposal. Use your legs, use your arm, use your tight end, the defense to hold Patrick Mahomes, who by the way, shut them out in the second half. They shut Patrick Mahomes out in the second half. So when you factor all that together, do I give Lamar Jackson a chance to beat them? Yes, I do. If I'm honest, yeah.
There's no way, Donald. If you're going by eye tests and going by now, if you're going with the particulars of the game, okay, what you just brought up, I'm still taking Mahomes.
You said
because
given that
day, right? But let me tell you something. Why didn't Jackson use his legs? You know why Jackson used his legs? You know why he went and tried to be a pocket pass quarterback? The moment was too big for him. Jittery, shaky, scared.
That's not
too
what people
big.
normally
That's why
do.
you throw in a triple coverage in the end
No.
zone. You know why?
That's not what people normally do.
Stay true to who you are in those moments.
Right.
That's what you do.
That's not what people do. That goes against psychology. When a person is limited or they get nervous, they revert to what they're comfortable with. So if anything, he would have started running all over the place. So no, it had to be bigger than the moment being too big for him.
Right. Okay, that's fair. I agree with you on there. But Donald, there's no way you can say to me that in a tie ball game, in an AFC Championship game, right? Zay Flowers does score, he doesn't fumble. You mean to tell me you're going to pick Mahomes? You're not going to pick Mahomes over Lamar. Lamar Jackson's done nothing to prove to me that he could win in a big moment like that over Patrick Mahomes. There was no stage too big for that dude. That kid can pull. He can perform on any stage. It doesn't matter. Okay? And James, exactly as a 49er fan, and Briggs, you in here now. Let me ask you this question too. You're a 49er fan. Okay? All right? In a tight, I don't even care. And even if you put Purdy in that situation, if the game is tied with 2 minutes to go and you get to win a cool $1,000, okay? A cool $1,000. Who are you taking in that situation? You gonna take Purdy or Jackson over Mahomes? Who are you taking? Either Mahomes, Purdy, or Jackson. Who you taking?
Purdy is going to take care of himself tomorrow. What I'm saying is, in what he's now trying to frame it differently.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to get you to understand.
Cool $1,000.
Who do you pick? If D. There's no way. I think you're coming in this game and you're not giving Mahomes nor the Chiefs any credit. And you're doing what Vegas is doing.
I'm giving them all the credit they deserve. I'm giving them all the credit they deserve. But
So that's why you say that's why you say the Niners going to beat the brakes off them. That's giving them
I'll give you my score in a minute. But I think that from a standpoint, I'm giving them all the credit they deserve. Patrick Mahomes is he's a unbelievable great quarterback. Travis Kelce, Hall of Fame tight end. But what else do they have?
They have enough to get them here, D. That's what they have. They got guys that will make catches in the critical moments of the playoffs. Have they failed Mahomes in the playoffs last year? No. Did they fail Mahomes in the playoffs this year? No. Yes, you can make all the regular season stuff you want to talk about. That's what I'm trying to tell you, D. You're going to hurt your argument when you bring up the Chiefs' poor performance in the playoffs and not bring up the poor performance of the Chiefs' poor performance in regular season and not bring up the poor performance of the Niners in the playoffs. They cancel themselves out almost at the end of the day. But what I'm trying to tell you,
they let Travis Kelce get off the entire. If you look at the players, first of all, Patrick Mahomes,
who y'all got to stop? Who y'all got to stop Kelce? So who y'all got to stop Kelce, D? if Fred Warner, who's a very good corner linebacker, we know, if he has to play on Kelsey, you don't think that's not going to open up run games when they start running play action and doing different things, or if they run schemes and blocking for Pacheco to run the ball? If you got Warner now having to focus in like Hamilton had to do against Kelsey, it's going to be a problem. You're going to lose something in the run game now. That's going to be a spot that they're going to run and take advantage of. If it's a situation where it's a 3rd and 3 situation and they run a draw or something like that, it's a wrap. Because Kelsey, if Warner's going to have to follow Kelsey, he's going to blanket Kelsey. Now you're going to open up the game for Pacheco. What I'm trying to tell you, D, is that they're so well coached that they don't need stars. See, you're going by just the stars, but it's the plays in which they design that will get other guys open, that they can still scheme and beat you. And I'm going to tell you right now, Andy Reid will run a clinic on Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks stands no chance. They ran a clinic against him, with Detroit and Green Bay. What do you think is going to happen with Andy Reid? Steve Wilks has no answer. That's why he's gone after this year. Y'all definitely letting him go. Something's going to happen. Ain't no doubt. Y'all ain't going back in with that same defense again. That's the same defense that DeMeco Ryans have, for crying out loud. And that defense looked bad, D. Bad. And y'all didn't look that great. And let me tell you something too, D. Y'all didn't look dominant. Y'all definitely dominate against the run. But D, there were some times in this defense this year that there was opportunities there. And I think teams saw that. They looked at that and they prepared accordingly. And that's what happened against Green Bay and Detroit. That defense got porous, got holes all through them against that run game, D. And that's going to be a problem coming into the Super Bowl. I'm telling you, D.
So based off of what you're saying, you think that it boils down to this, and I guess you've answered it already. You think that Kelsey and Pacheco and Mahomes is enough to beat the Niners?
Say that again, one more time.
Kelsey? Mahomes, and Pacheco are enough to beat the Niners.
No, I'm telling you, Mahomes is enough.
So
I'm telling you, Mahomes is enough. Mahomes is the difference maker. If it comes down to this game being tight, trust me, Mahomes is going to show up. I cannot bet against Mahomes. When have you ever seen Mahomes not show up, D, to that degree? I mean, yes, they did lose. Who was it? Who did
Mahomes
they lose
is not throwing to himself.
They lost to was it Tennessee or Cincinnati? I believe it was.
They lost to Cincinnati. Mahomes is not throwing it to himself. I have less faith in his wide receiver core and skill position players other than Kelsey than you do. You really hold them in really high regard.
No, I'm holding them in regard that they can make the plays when it matters. See, you think they got to... No, they're not on the same level as an Ayuk and Kittles and Debo. We know that, D. But can they make the plays when it matters? And they have shown so far in these past 3 weeks of their playoff run, they can. Okay. Have they dropped any balls that were critical? Have they did any bonehead things other than the fumble at the goal line against Buffalo when was that MVS that did that? And what you call it, Reed said after the game, that's a cardinal rule. You never stick the ball out near the goal line. You know you're not supposed to have done that. That was a dumb play. So that was a bonehead thing. But outside of that, though, D, where has these receivers that we know have played bad all year, where did they come up short in these playoffs? In fact, if I can make the argument to a degree that your great, illustrious, all-world offense has not looked that much better than Kansas City in the playoffs. Your offense didn't look good. Purdy, that's who won the game. Kyle Shanahan had no clue. He was useless in that Detroit game. Purdy dropped back, looked through his reads, couldn't find anybody. What did he do? He ran. He made throws that he had to make, getting Kittles on the crossers and hitting Ayuk and doing jump passes to Jennings, okay? And I will retract my statement from last week. That was a good play. I looked at the replay again. It was a good throw. It was the way he did it, leap over, getting over the guy's hands. We talk about that. I will give him credit for that. But at the end of the day, D, that was Purdy. And let me tell you something. If y'all in the same situation, you're going to rely on Purdy. So your real thought should be, can I rely on Purdy to do what he did against Green Bay and against Detroit, to do it against the Chiefs this week? In case my all-world players don't show up, in case my defense gives up 120 yards to Pacheco on the ground and they're running and gashing us on defense, is Purdy enough to get you over the top? That's going to be the question. Now, personally, I think he can. Why? No. He's proven it. But y'all not gonna be in that situation because I don't think he's gonna get that opportunity to do that because Mahomes is gonna shut all that down.
I don't want you to think that we can. I want you to keep Keep that same energy about discounting what we can do and think Mahomes is a world beater. And he is a great quarterback. I'm not taking away from him. But Mahomes, his surrounding cast or his supporting cast leaves a lot to be desired. And that's going to show.
Well, how do you doubt them, though, D? They won a Super Bowl with virtually the same receiving core last year. That showed up. And even Tony had catches, and they actually all but benched him last week. And they don't even know they're going to play him tomorrow. What did Reed say this week in the pressers? He said, we'll see. He has been practicing, so we'll see how it goes. They still don't know.
Well, Kadarius Toney, if you think about what he did in the Super Bowl, he was one of the reasons that kind of put them over the top. He had that 65-yard.
So why are you saying that they can't do it in this Super Bowl? And they did it last year, and they showed up well in the playoff this year. I think, you can't do that, D. You want to make everybody erase the bad narratives on Purdy when Purdy showed up, right? And Purdy did show up. So we shouldn't be talking bad about Purdy anymore. Mr. Relevant, is he a game manager? Is he only winning because of the guys around him? Purdy put all that to rest. Because Debo went quiet, CMC went quiet, IU, all them guys owned whatever shine that they had, it was because of Purdy. Purdy won those games, particularly in Detroit. So the argument shouldn't be against Purdy anymore. So why can't that be the case with those receivers in Kansas City? Why are you not giving them the same love? Why not showing them the same respect? What did they do to not get their respect?
So let me ask you a question. Briggs brought up a good point. When we played Kansas City in 2019, right? Yeah. Would you say that Brock Purdy is an upgrade to Jimmy G at quarterback position?
Absolutely.
Would you say CMC is an upgrade to Mostert? And
absolutely.
Okay.
And you don't, unless you name Jim Brown or somebody, then yeah, anybody who y'all had on that roster, CMC is better.
And Spags was the defensive coordinator then, right?
He was.
So with these upgrades, you don't think that you don't even think we had, and they had a better team. Kansas City had a better team.
Offensively, they did. Not defensively, but offensively, because their defense is different now, too. They got a whole big difference. Their defense is different, too, D.
They have a better
differences
defense.
in players, they, too, have changed.
They have a better defense, granted.
Right. Okay.
But offensively, from a standpoint of Mahomes and being able to get the ball, my whole thing to you and which you're not accepting is I don't think his supporting cast is as good as you think they are. I think we have upgraded from the last time we met each other in the Super Bowl. Yeah. We have upgraded to the degree where you're not giving us credit. You still think Mahomes and what they bring to the table, and Spagnuolo and Andy Reid and Kelsey, they're still head and shoulders above what the 49ers are. And that's not accurate. I think they're skill players, and from a standpoint, as good as their defense is, they're still susceptible to the run. So as much as you're saying Pacheco could run for 150 yards and just gash you guys, CMC could do the same thing to them.
He could, D. And I'm not saying that he can't. We know CMC, who I really feel should have been he really should have been MVP in my opinion. I think Mahomes, Lamar shouldn't have been, but that's another show. You're right. CMC can go for, and he can go for maybe 200 all-purpose yards when it's all said and done, right? He very well could do that. But I don't think that happens if y'all can't stop the run. See, D, everything predicates on y'all stopping the run. Why did y'all get into a bind against Detroit? Because you couldn't stop the run. Why did you get in a bind against Green Bay? Because you couldn't stop the run. And once the play action is there, bro, it's a whole nother game. And that's why their receivers showed up in Green Bay. And that's why Detroit receivers showed up against y'all in San Francisco in the championship game, because you couldn't stop the run. And so what had to win that game for y'all, D? It took 2 plays. The lucky catch and the fumble. Then y'all offense got rolling. Momentum shifted. Crowd is in the game now. It's a wrap. Now Detroit dropping balls, 4th down, 3rd down, 2 critical drops, right? That's what loses the game for Detroit. And all I'm saying, D, you don't put Mahomes in that situation. You give Mahomes the same situation y'all end up giving Jared Goff, it's a wrap. Yes, y'all defense is better. I agree with you and Sweets. Y'all got you and Briggs. Y'all got a better defense. But there is no defense that has been proven that could stop Mahomes yet. There's Mahomes and then there's defenses. That's a good defense y'all got, no question. But y'all got to play Mahomes now. This is the best quarterback y'all going to play ever this whole season. This ain't Dak. This ain't Hurts. This ain't Lamar, even though Lamar beat y'all, but at the end of the day, Lamar folds in pressure anyway, so it don't matter. So he ain't get no love. This ain't Dak. This ain't, Trevor Lawrence, okay? This ain't Mason Rudolph, okay? This ain't Deshaun Watson or LP, whatever the Cleveland quarterbacks are, and all. No. You playing the greatest quarterback in this era. And D, it don't matter. Y'all defense is much improved, much better. Y'all ain't got a better defensive coordinator, I think, though. Y'all got better players, but I don't think your DC knows what the heck he's doing.
And our offense is better. And
your offense is better, too. Your offense and their defense is better. So now you got a good defense versus a good offense. That's going to be where the matchup is. And so if y'all don't get that running game going, if y'all look like y'all can't, because D, y'all didn't move the ball well against Detroit. Y'all didn't move the ball well against Green Bay. They were stopping y'all. CMC, for the most part, it was 2 yards in a cloud of dust. He wasn't getting off. Now, he had some good runs, but he wasn't dominating those games.
Did he have 2 touchdowns?
Oh, here we go. What we playing fantasy now? What are we talking
about?
Fantasy?
No. Well, the score is what matters.
But D, if you score from the 1 yard line or something like that, then
I mean,
that's a touchdown. But I mean, I'm saying it's a score.
So that doesn't count?
But that's not dominating a game. When you talk about your great players got to dominate a game. Having 2 touchdowns, but then you made no other impact throughout the game doesn't mean anybody could have scored from the 1 yard line. Y'all gave the ball to what's his name? Your backup running back for a score. On that one drive, CMC looked good on that one drive. He came through. He did. But he didn't dominate in that game. You can't tell me the Niners. Where did the Niners dominate in these playoffs?
Are you equating? See, this is my point. Are you equating? And this is the problem that you as a Cowboy fan has had the entire season. You care about style points. You care about how it looks. CMC in his 2 playoff games scored 2 touchdowns. He has 4 touchdowns in 2 games. He has played, and when it matters, that's what he shows up. So I'm not so concerned about him, although very possibly he's going to have upwards of 100 all-purpose yards, a couple of scores. I think he's going to have a really good game. And my prediction is that he will be the Super Bowl MVP. I think CMC will be the Super Bowl MVP. But I don't think from a standpoint stylistically, if we're able to have long, sustained drives, we're able to run the ball, because any defense, doesn't matter how great they are, if they're on the field for a long time, they're going to tire out. And when they do, if they load the box to stop the run, because CMC is going to be effective, then you have to open up the receivers are going to have, and the tight end is going to have a field.
You're doing a lot of ifs. James, why you not getting on Don and all his ifs? If we stop the run, if we run the ball, if. But D, can we go with some facts here? Let's go with what has happened already. Can y'all stop the run? No, you cannot. As I just told Briggs, you ever stop the run until you stop it. So let's go with some facts here. Y'all have not been good against the run. So what CMC does means nothing if y'all can't stop the opposing team from running, because y'all not going to get the ball enough. And it's going to be a situation where, you know what? Purdy might have to drop back and throw the ball. And then that's what gives Kansas City their best opportunity to win. So that's all I'm saying. You talking about if. CMC has not had 100 yards yet in these playoffs. Has he had 100 yards in these playoffs yet?
But he's had 2 touchdowns each game. That's all that matters. The yards don't matter, Rod.
D, it does, but D, touchdowns if you're scoring from the 1 yard line, yes, that's 2. D, you could score 3-4 touchdowns from the 1 yard line. But are you impacting the game when it matters? I'm talking about how you score means nothing. So Ayuk got a lucky catch, and then CMC runs it from there. No, he played great. That's not playing great. You got down there off a lucky catch. I'm talking about drives. When we see CMC get 10 yards here, 8 yards there, screen pass, good for 14 yards, tunnel screens, Debo running up there, that's when you know the Niners are clicking. That's when you see them with the screens and the crosser routes, and they running Kittles and different cats running all over the field, and them guys is just and it busting for 8 yards here, 10 yards here, 12 yards here. Purdy dropping back, just looking good and crisp. That's when y'all rocking.
4 TDs in 2 games is not impacting the game.
D,
yes or no?
D. Oh gosh. Okay, so let me ask you this question, D. If a guy like Juwan Jennings scores 2 touchdowns but has 3 catches for 21 yards. Did he impact the game?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Oh, let me tell you. I forget. I think it was last season.
Done.
I think it was last season.
Done.
Kittle had 3 touchdowns and 26 yards. You don't think that impacted the game?
It
didn't impact the game. No, it's about winning and losing, Rod. He had 3 touchdowns and 26 yards. That was it. 3 touchdowns and 26 yards.
What are you talking about? Kelsey.
Kelsey had 3 touchdowns and 26 yards. I think it was last season. You're saying that wasn't an impact to the game?
I'm not saying not scoring touchdowns. Obviously, those are points. I see what you're saying, but I'm looking at it from the bigger picture in terms of the way you impact the game overall. It's not about just scoring. Obviously, it's about scoring touchdowns, right? Whoever has the most points wins. We get that.
I forgot he's a Dallas Cowboy fan. He doesn't think scoring matters.
Score. D. What I'm saying though, D. Okay, so are you telling me? Okay, so let me ask you this question then. Who won the game for the 49ers against Detroit and against Green Bay, for that matter? Who do you give credit? You give CMC credit for winning those games, or do you give Purdy credit for winning those games, or Debo, or Kittles?
Now we're saying credit for winning the game or impact. We said impact. And now you're saying credit for winning the game?
Impact is the credit. D. If you're going to give credit to someone for winning the game, that's impact. When you talk about impact, D, you're talking about a guy that did some things in the course of a game that changed the game. A guy who makes plays, and in the way in which he makes plays, and at the timing of when he makes those plays, that's impact. You could throw a lob, you could throw a bootleg and a what you call it to Juszczyk. Don't mean he impacted the game from the 1 yard line. Yes, he scored. That's a score. But you don't walk away from saying Juszczyk was the difference because he scored from the 1 yard line. No, it was Purdy who impacted those wins with his legs, with his arms. That's the difference. That's the difference. That's what I'm talking about. No, we're not talking about a guy scoring from the 1 yard line. Now, if you're scoring massive touchdowns and you're also impacting the game as well with runs and catches,
CMC
then that's
like
impact.
25 touchdowns over the season. I don't understand.
Yes, he did.
You're acting like it was somebody that has not been an integral part of our offense the whole season.
We know it, but he hasn't showed up. But he has. But has he been that same player all year long in these playoffs? No, he is not. Your offense got stalled in the first half against Detroit, and even in the first half, when y'all got the second half, when y'all got the ball back, you was only able to put up 3. If they're able to score another touchdown in that game is a wrap. You already know, D. You already know, D. Because they most likely would have scored on that drive too. They would have scored on that drive had they not fumbled. And the reality is, D, your offense has not looked efficient. Are you going to sit here and tell me that your offense has looked dominant the way y'all have in the regular season, that you like to put it? Have they looked that way in these playoffs?
Our offense, we have been able, and I'll say this, and then maybe this answers your question. We have been able to put up enough points to win the game. That's a news flash. We were able to put up more points than the opposing team.
That's not answering my question. That's not it. I said, have y'all looked the same? You can't in 1 minute say how y'all dominated teams all year long, and then when y'all don't play well, but yet you come out with a win, it's we put up points. No, that's not the question, D. You know good and well, Donald.
Has Kansas City dominated anybody this season? Have they? If we're doing in comparison, have they been dominant? There was questions whether they were even going to make it to the playoffs,
right?
Or certainly we didn't expect them to make it to the Super Bowl.
But have they excelled in their play in the playoffs versus what they did in the regular season? A team that you just said nobody even expected them to make the playoffs. They had bad losses this year to the Raiders and Denver. Bad teams, bad losses. Couldn't get more than 17 points up for 4 or 5 straight weeks. But D, do they look like the same team that they were in the regular season? Can you honestly? What's your question? What's your answer to that? Have they looked like the same team in these playoffs that they did in the regular season? Yes or no?
I will say no.
Oh my God!
No,
America.
Whoa! I listen. I don't rush to answer. I think things through.
Oh, now he's slow to rap. You know what?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I would say no, but let me tell you why. They have not looked the same that they've looked all season because a team from an offensive standpoint has not put pressure on them to put up points. So
No,
listen to what I'm saying.
teams.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Okay.
They have not put the playoff teams that they have faced have not put pressure on them, Kansas City, to score. Kansas City's success in the postseason has been totally predicated on their defense. Miami puts up 6 points. The only game that they actually put up that there was some points back and forth was the Buffalo and Kansas City game. But if you go to last week when they played, Baltimore only put up 10 points. See how those receivers who now are so trusted, they dropped all these passes throughout the regular season, and now they're trusted receivers that in the big game, they can make the catches. We'll see when they have to put up 25, 28 plus points. When a team puts up that many points on them, and now Mahomes has to use these receivers and get the ball to them. Let's see if they have great hands, or if they go back to their ways of dropping passes.
But they put up 27 points. But they put up 27 points against Buffalo on the road.
Yes,
they put up 26 points against Miami on the road. I mean, at home. But they put up 20. Like they can score points now. But
there was no pressure from the standpoint of the opposing team putting up points.
But their defense gave up 24 points against Miami. But they got 24. Okay, Miami game not good on the road. It's cold. Their defense was decimated. That game was really just Miami knew they was losing that game. That game, we're not even going to account that game. I'm not to forget that game. But they defense gave up 24 points against the Buffalo Bills. Okay, Buffalo Bills. They gave up 24 points in that game. And Josh Allen, to your point, yes, their defense is the reason why they're winning. And that's all the more reason why you should be concerned coming into this game. That Mahomes doesn't have to do a lot. But if he had to, he could. Because remember, he can run the pocket too. You saying Jackson didn't run the ball, but Mahomes will run the ball. Mahomes can get out the pocket and scramble and make plays and juke cats faking like he's about to throw down the field and then be out. You know he can do that. So my thing is this, to your point, you're only making my point when you say that yes, they play better than in the regular season, but you want to say now it was their defense. But that's the whole thing, D. They're a complete team. Your defense is not playing good
all season. It's been their defense all season.
Right, but not
their offense.
No, it has not been. But their offense
when you're averaging 18 points a game, it can't be your offense.
But D, if they were able to score 17 points against a good defense like Baltimore, they gave up, which 17 points is not a lot of points, right? Okay, and I get your point, what you're saying in terms of them being Kansas City playing good defense, but their offense still has played well enough with the bad receiving core as we all say that they have. All right, they ain't got Tyreek Hill anymore. All right, this is not their greatest core, but yet they still look efficient. Is what I'm trying to say. Mahomes was 17 to 23 with 215 yards against Buffalo. Okay, Pacheco had 97 yards on the ground with 15 carries. That's what you call balance. And they got a good defense. That's why I'm saying, D, they're coming into the Super Bowl balanced. Y'all are not balanced, D. There's no balance to y'all right now. Your defense is trash right now. It's trash. You need to accept that for what it is. It's trash against the run. Y'all have not been able to stop. No, and against the pass. Y'all have not been able to stop nobody.
I don't even know how we got to the Super Bowl. I don't even know how we became the number one seed. I don't even know.
Are you talking regular season or we talking playoffs? See, you're talking like me. I expect that to come from me as a Cowboy fan to talk regular season.
Right.
That's what I expect. You expect that?
It
not
takes
you,
the
D.
regular season. See what
right,
happens.
But we in a Super Bowl right now, D. We're not previewing the first game of the playoffs. We're previewing the Super Bowl. And D, the best team coming into the Super Bowl right now are the Chiefs. The way that they're playing in the playoffs. Okay. Does that not matter? Does that not matter? Does that not matter? You don't think the way you're playing matters right now coming into the Super Bowl? You don't think that has anything to do with it? You don't think that should account for something? If you're going to give credit to the regular season, but then dismiss the playoff performance and then just jump right into the Super Bowl and say, well, we've been good all regular season. And you're going to dismiss the way y'all are looking coming into the Super Bowl based on your playoff performance? That's not fair.
So we're limping in. We're limping into the Super Bowl, right? We're limping
I ain't saying you're limping, but you're not looking dominant. You're not dominant.
We're one-dimensional. We're one-dimensional, right? We're one-dimensional.
Y'all right? Looking
because our defense is a hindrance, according to you, right? We're in trouble. We're going to be in trouble, right? Mahomes is going to have his way, right?
I believe you will.
Because if Jared Goff and what's his name from Green Bay, can put up points. Love, Patrick Mahomes should have a field day against us, right?
He should. Yeah,
35 points. Easy.
He should.
Right?
He should. That's possible.
You better not say a low-scoring game. You better, with all that, you better not say a low-scoring game. Because Patrick Mahomes is so much better than them, they should blow the doors off.
No. I like the way it sounds. I like the way that sounds, but that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Is Mahomes better than Love?
Yes, he is.
Is Mahomes better than Goff?
Who? Better than who? That's my answer.
Perfect.
So yeah.
So yeah. If Woodscore can put up 20+ points against us, right? Detroit, and let you tell it, they got up to a 17-point lead on us. Mahomes should easily give your argument. He should blow us out, right? Because our defense is suspect, right? It's trash, D. You said our defense is trash, right?
You know what? You're right.
Perfect.
You know what? Thank you for saying that. Because as you're talking, it does make sense to me now.
Yes.
That's going to be.
Okay, good. So,
31 points they're going to put up on y'all.
I'm excited about the score.
What's the score? You know what? I had enough of you, D. This is it.
Good.
You know what's going to be?
Who's going to be the MVP? Wait, before we do that, who's going to be the MVP? Let's start with the MVP, then we'll do the score.
Pat Mahomes.
Pat Mahomes. Okay, cool. I have CMC as being the MVP. The one that you said has no impact. 4 touchdowns in 2 games, no impact on the game or the score or the outcome. Cool.
But he doesn't even get, but those scores mean nothing if Purdy doesn't do what he did. So let's put that in context. CD, you like to put stuff out there, but you don't give no context to nothing you put out there. You just, it's a touchdown. It's 6 points.
So
let's put it in context.
So you think that Snead punching the ball out when I think it was Snead.
You mean when he didn't have the ball? The running back never had the ball in his hand when he took the hand off.
When Snead punched the ball out for Flowers, you don't think that mattered to the game? Like, of course, you have other players on your team. Mahomes didn't do that much last week. I hate to break it to you. Mahomes didn't have a great game last week.
And neither did Debo, and neither did Kittles. And they didn't have great games either. All your all-world supporting cast now to Purdy, as it seems.
I think you should look at Debo's numbers. I think you should look at Debo's numbers and see
those numbers. But no, he had 98 catches. I think 98 yards for like 8 catches or whatever like that.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
So now he's
going
back and forth, Rod.
But D, it was because of Purdy. Purdy it wasn't because of some all-world scheme that Shanahan put together for them to take a tunnel screen and run it for 60 yards. No, that was Purdy who ran through his progressions and moved in the pocket and made plays with his legs. That's why those guys were able to get off in the second half, particularly in that fourth quarter, because of Purdy. That's why. He proved that he wasn't a game manager. He made that happen for those other guys to have the game that they have eventually. Because y'all couldn't do nothing. Shanahan's scheme was shot to dead in that first half. Nothing.
Okay.
Y'all were
so what happens to Andy Reid's scheme when his team gets shut out in the second half? Or is he just Big Red just likes to he likes to do
managing clock?
He likes to shut down in the second half.
Managing clock. He's still. I mean, he didn't put up the points. Right? But it was still enough, clearly, still enough to win. His defense played well enough to shut them down, right? So I'm saying they only scored 10 points. So we talking about how much Mahomes should have scored, but the Chiefs defense only scored 10 points. And if y'all couldn't do nothing against Detroit and Green Bay for most of those games, what do you think is going to be the case with Detroit? I mean, with Kansas City. So I'm trying to say. That's why, D, you got to give context to who's playing better in the playoffs right now. The confidence swing right there. The only reason why y'all favorite because they're going by names. That's it. CMC, Debo, Ayuk, the weaponry, Kittles, and Juszczyk, and Trent. You going by they going by all that hype. The same hype that came into the Green Bay game and Joey Bosa looking like Fred G. Sanford. Oh, my God. Thank God we win. And then all of a sudden, you got Detroit and then barely winning that game. All because kneecaps wanted to make a bonehead decision and go for it on 4th down when he should have taken the points. It would have put y'all back up by 3 points, and that would have changed everything. The field goal y'all scored in the second half to come out, and on the first drive, that 3 points would have been kneeled because why? It got canceled out and had to just kick the field goal, and now you're back to a 3-point. Now you're back to a 3-possession game. That changes the mentality of everything. That fumble doesn't happen way down there. Why? Because of the fact that now the field position changes, and you don't have them. You don't put them in a position to get an easy score now.
Detroit handed us the game, right? We didn't didn't execute, right? They handed us the game.
The same way you said Baltimore handed the Kansas City the game because they didn't run the ball. And Lamar didn't use his legs. And Zay Flowers decided to stick the ball out trying to score from 5 yards away from the goal line. So the same principle applies, D. No, you don't get to do that. If Kansas City game was given to them, so was San Francisco.
So we're both lucky to be in the Super Bowl, right?
Well, maybe you are. You're both lucky. That's it. Because teams didn't do what they were supposed to do, and therefore y'all are here. But D, Mahomes will win this MVP against that defense.
Okay,
You'll
I have
see.
CMC.
And who's that left quarter? James Dunn. Who's that left quarter? Who's that left? Who's Thomas? Who's Thomas?
Ambry Thomas.
Who's his name?
Ambry Thomas.
Ambry Thomas. I hope he ain't holding Rice. Don't hold Rice. Whoever he holds is going to have a field. Mahomes going to look right to him. They're going to exploit him all day. You better give him safety coverage. You better give him help over the top. That dude is bad.
Okay.
He's bad. And he didn't play well in neither game. He's bad. So they say Purdy played elite. That's a good thing. He can perform the same way against it. And Toby, that's the point. Toby, this is what I've been trying to tell Don all show long. I agree with that, Toby. And that's what I'm trying to say. If the Niners are to win this game, the way it's looking, based on the pattern we've seen in these playoffs so far, it has been Purdy who would have to step up and win this game. Because the same way Donald wants to say, we're going to take Kelsey away. We're going to make Kelsey sit up in the box with Taylor, right? And that's what he's going to be. But what do you think the Chiefs are going to do against the Niners? They have a plethora of weapons.
Who are they going to take away? Who can they take away?
CMC.
CMC. All right, take CMC away. So what you going to do with Debo? What you going to do with Ayuk? What you going to do with Kittle?
The same thing the other teams did. Because at the end of the day,
they can take all of them away?
No.
My point.
No, the point is if you take away the best player, now the other players that are good, but the best player on your team is CMC from front to back. Offense to defense, straight up. Nobody's better than Fred Warner, Greenlaw, Armstead, Bo. I don't even think Bosa is better. CMC is the difference. Y'all was freaking 2-19 when y'all traded for CMC. When he came, it changed the whole team around. CMC is the best player on your team. You take CMC away. Now that changes the game plan a little bit. Now you got to put more on Debo. And here's the thing with Debo. Runs hard. We know what he can do. He's a multi-versatile player. But if you got to put more on him because CMC is not rocking, it's going to make some changes. And if you lose to Ayuk, then let Ayuk beat you. But don't let CMC beat you. That's all. If you let Watson or MVS beat you, then so be it, right? Just don't let it be Kelsey. It's the same mentality the Chiefs are going to say.
The whole show I've been saying
that works both ways. But
I don't trust their skill players more than I trust ours. So given what you just said, the game plan is to take away the team's best weapon. They have Kelsey, Pacheco, and Mahomes. That's all they have. I don't think MVS can beat us. I don't think Noah Gray can beat us.
No.
But I do think Kittle can beat them. I do think Debo and Ayuk can beat them if you take CMC away. That's my point. It took you 2 hours to come to that realization.
No.
Congratulations.
No. What I'm saying, D, is okay, but if you want to say that, you give me a lot of ifs in terms of what's to come. But let's look at what has happened already in these 2 playoff games. None of those guys that you just mentioned, Kittles and Debo. Debo got hurt in Green Bay, so it didn't. Wasn't the Green Bay game he got hurt in? So he was a non-factor because he's getting brittle now. He taking a lot of hits. He's very injury prone. We better still watch that.
You said that he was going to have his shoulder was going to be wrapped up. And what did he do in the Detroit game? 8 for 89 or 9 for 89. So that was an impactful game.
Right, but
shoulder
it was an impactful game.
They asked him if he was going to try to. He said, "I'm not blocked. I'm not like trying to hide anything. I'm giving you my full."
But let me share this with you. I totally concur with that. I can't argue against that. I'll be a fool to sit up here and argue that. And I'm not going to sit up here and say that they're going to take away and shut everybody down. You shut down the best player and let the other guys just have their games, right? Let them get there. You know the old adage, right? You can't stop them, but you can contain them. For the most part, though, Debo and those other guys been contained in the last 2 games in these playoffs. That's why Purdy has been the one to rise to the occasion. Debo doesn't have those stats if Purdy doesn't rise to the occasion. Ayuk doesn't have the stats if he doesn't rise, Purdy that is, to the occasion. Remember, it's been the other way around all year long. It's those guys elevating Purdy. Purdy elevated those guys in the last 2 weeks. And so the point that Toby made, which is what I agree with, Purdy has the ability, I think, to rise to the occasion. But here's the thing. If that happens, where he has to rise to the occasion, that's not going to be a good thing. Because you know why? The other guy on the other side of the sideline is not going to give you that opportunity. Because that ain't golf and that ain't love. That's Patrick Mahomes. And if your defenses look bad against against Detroit and Green Bay, and you look bad against Kansas City, there ain't no close game. Purdy will never have the opportunity to showcase his greatness in the Super Bowl like he did these last two playoff games. Why? Because that's Patrick Mahomes on the other side, bro. Your defense looked like they did these last 2 weeks. Mahomes, I don't care if he's throwing to you and me out there. I don't care if Toby's lined up in the slot and James is lined up in the X and the Y. It don't matter. And we put Briggs in motion. It don't matter. It won't matter. We will still come out on top, and we're going to run everything to Thomas' side. And as long as we do that, we're going to win. I'm going to tell you, D, that's the point I'm trying to make. Don't play bad defense against Mahomes, because it's going to be a long. You're going to see Gatorade in the middle of the third quarter. It's going to be Gatorade. Andy Reid. Mustache instead of ice, he's going to have mad Gatorade juice in his mustache, son. Don't let that be, D. And D, you know deep in your heart. And James, you know in your heart. And Briggs, you know in your heart. And Toby, you know in your heart. You are scared to death of Mahomes. You are scared to death. And you know good and well, if your defense don't play well and you play the way you played against these other two teams, Mahomes is going to go off on you. Don't let it be. And don't let Pacheco run mad and run hard and run nasty and run and catch. Let me tell you something. It's going to be a long day. And D, you're afraid. You're afraid. Just say it, D. Just say, I'm scared about my defense. I hope my defense plays well. Because the only way you stand a chance if that defense don't give up those big runs, D.
I'm not worried about it at all.
Against us. Mahomes didn't play well. He didn't play well in that first half. That game was attributed probably more likely, as we often been saying, it's Jimmy G overthrowing Sanders. That's all. He overthrew him. That was he missed him. But when Mahomes had to make the throw, there was a big throw that he made in that game, and he connected. He made his throw. Garoppolo didn't. That's going to be the difference in this Super Bowl right here.
It was more.
You scared, Briggs?
It's more of what Tyreek did than what Mahomes did. Mahomes just lobbed it up. But whatever. Catch was made. It was like a 3rd and 15. Was able to make the play. The rest is history, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate Rich Court not being scared. Really, real Niners fans aren't scared.
D. Let me tell you something.
Not scared.
D.
Not scared at all.
D. Be very afraid. And James, yes, you stop. CMC was not the reason why y'all won. Yes, he scored a touchdown, but he's not the reason why they won. James, if you're honest with yourself, can you say honestly, it was Purdy's play that elevated everybody else in that second half and in that fourth quarter? Same thing against Green Bay. He had that drive. We were 6-7 on that drive.
Kansas City should be more worried if Brock Purdy has been the best player so far in the playoffs. They should be more worried. Based on what you're saying, he was carried the whole season by this great offensive unit, right? And Brock Purdy was just managing, right? That's how the whole game manager. But if Brock Purdy was, according to you, the best player in the playoffs so far for the Niners, what happens when CMC shows up, Debo shows up, like they showed up all season long? Ayuk shows up, Kittle shows up. What happens then, based on your analogy?
If say that one more time. I lost you there. Say that one more time. I was looking up a stat. My fault. I apologize. Go ahead.
You said that Brock Purdy has been the best player in the playoffs for the Niners.
Yes, he has.
With this all-world team.
Yes.
All these players, CMC, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, you name it. What happens, and if Brock Purdy has been the best player so far, he
hasn't played well, but go ahead,
What happens, you said he's been the reason we won. What happens when those players that have been playing well all season, and according to you, haven't played good in the postseason, what happens when they show up?
And my retort to that, well, if they show up, then it could be a long day for the Chiefs. It could be a long day for the Chiefs if those other guys show up. But then my retort to that is, based on what we've seen defensively by the Chiefs and what we've seen by the Niners offensively against lesser defensive teams, I'm going to take a chance to say that your explosive players are not going to show up like that. D, Ayuk had 3 catches for 68 yards. He had 8 targets in that game. This is against Detroit. McCaffrey had 4 catches.
Touchdown. He had a
for
touchdown
42
too,
yards.
right?
He had a touchdown. He had a touchdown.
You got that points. We're not here for yards. We're here for points.
But D,
points
I understand
count.
that. I understand. But
So
D, y'all only got. But D. Yes,
his
he
whole
scored that
stat.
touchdown. But remember how y'all scored that touchdown? Y'all was already on the 5 freaking yard line when they fumbled the ball. So that's field position and the defense giving y'all a favorable.
That's Dak logic.
The offense giving y'all a favorable position.
Is 20 to 20, from the 20-yard line to the 20-yard line. But with the red zone, that's where your bread and butter comes from. The red zone. So as much as you try to scoff at, CMC scored from the 1-yard line and Brandon Ayuk scored a touchdown from the 5-yard line. It
Okay,
matters.
let me ask you a question though, D.
It matters.
If you got the ball within the 10-yard line off a turnover, right? And you already got the momentum, you just scored, team is when you're home or whatever the case may be. But aside from that, who are you giving the credit for when your team scores from that field position? When you're pretty much a very good red zone team? Who's getting the credit for that? You're gonna turn, if you look at that game in context, you're gonna say that the turnover from the defense in that sense, whoever caused it, I'd still believe it was because of the bad handoff exchange. It still puts y'all in a position. That's not the offense that impacted. You gave them field position. That's the game is all about field position, D. You know that. So if they're in the red zone from that with a 1st and 10, and they're from their 15 or 12-yard line or 10-yard line, then you're putting your defense in a bad position right there. That's different than having y'all drive the field. So that's what I'm trying to say. You don't get credit like this all-world credit. Or he scored a touchdown 5 yards from the fact that there was a turnover. So that's sometimes you don't get the bloviate about that and all of a sudden make CMC the next Walter Payton and he's scoring touchdowns from 5 yards out because the defense created that 4-yard opportunity. Why? Because y'all couldn't do anything else. Y'all were not driving the football well.
So the only way you'll give CMC credit is if he has 2 touchdowns and 200 yards
CMC
rushing.
has dominated all year long, but he has not looked dominant. And none of the receivers have, and none of your playmakers have in these playoffs. Okay, Debo had 8 catches for 89 yards.
Of the year?
Who was it? I don't know. Was it CMC? CMC won that. Yeah, I think he should have been MVP. Because I don't think without CMC, y'all don't win. Can we say that? I don't care how all world. Y'all, Ayuk is not going to take a team on his back and win. He's not going to do that.
I just want to remind you that we had a 10-point lead last Super Bowl, right? I agree. CMC is a great player. We had a 10-point lead. We had a 10-point lead going into the 4th quarter without CMC, without Trent Williams. Just keep in mind
that's a different defense altogether, man. That's a different defense. Y'all had a 10-point lead. And that's a different team. I mean, it's a whole different team. And Garoppolo lost that game. Come on, I'll give you an out on that. You don't even have to go into that because at the end of the day, Garoppolo lost that game for y'all. Yeah, yuck.
He was not accurate. Overthrew Sanders. Yeah. So, but I'm not trying. We lost the game. At the end of the day, they put up more points than we did. Whether Jimmy Garoppolo should have, could have, would have. It might have been different. The reality is he didn't, and we lost. So, but if we want to take a deeper dive and peel back the way we score, not like I think you're trying to, you're breaking down the game too much. Like if we get a turnover and our running back punches it in,
that's context.
He shouldn't get credit for that because
I'm not saying you get credit, but you can't. But that happens because of what happened when the turnover caused. That's why you don't want to have turnovers. That's why you don't want to give up field position. That's how the coaches approach the game. But you got to break it down to that because that gives context. You know what I'm saying? You can't just sit there and be like, he scored from 3 yards out. Well, yeah, because the guy fumbled on the freaking 1 yard line. So I'm saying that's not our let's problem. Put this in context. But all I'm saying though, D,
nothing to do with us.
D, look what y'all did against the Packers, right? Now Kittle's had 4 catches for 81 yards. Right, his longest catch was 32. He had a touchdown, right? But he had 7 targets.
Why are you putting that in air quotes?
Because
you need
touchdowns. You need touchdowns.
Touchdowns aid to win the game, right?
Right. Oh no, we do know that. We know that.
Tom Brady had 500 yards. They had I think he set the record for the most passing yards in a loss, right? When the Patriots lost against the Eagles, he had I think 500 yards, and he lost the game. So do you think he would have taken 300 yards passing in a W, or he wanted the 500 yards in a loss?
Well, that's what Mahomes will do on Sunday. But no, you're right. I agree with you there. But here's the point. George Kittle had 4 catches in that game for 81 yards. His longest was 32. All right. So, which means 50 catches for something for 3 catches for 50-something yards. Juwan Jennings had 5 catches for 61 yards. Brandon Ayuk, no touchdowns, by the way. Okay. Ayuk had 3 catches for 32 yards. Okay. Longest catch was 12. He had 6 targets and only caught 3. McCaffrey was 7 of 30. He had 12 targets in that game, but 7 catches for 30 yards. Okay. Debo was 2 of 24. We know he got hurt in that game. Okay. And then you had some guy named McLeod and Conley who caught 1 catch apiece. Okay. And Conley made a big throw, by the way, which all goes to show what in that drive.
Shows balance. That's what I get. Balance.
Well, that's my point. And here's the thing with the balance. Who brings the balance? The quarterback. That's the point I'm trying to make for you, D, is that it's the quarterback. If Purdy has to win this game, because nobody's going to dominate. Y'all have players that didn't dominate, D. That's the point I'm just trying to make you. Same thing with Detroit. You had guys that, and even in the Detroit game. I mean, I didn't finish.
How about running back? Can you give me, after you're done with your whole stats, can you give me Kansas City breakdown against Baltimore? What their receivers did?
I certainly can.
And what Kelsey did? Yeah.
Okay, I will. I certainly will. George Kittle against hold on. Let me give you the Detroit game now. Okay, because we already read what they did here. So here's a box score for your 49ers in the receiving. Okay. Now McCaffrey had 20 rushing wise, 20. He had 20 for 90. That's not bad. That's like 4 yards a pop, almost roughly, right? Close to. All right, not bad. As long as it was 25-yard run. Okay. Purdy had 5 for 48, but the 5 for 48 was more impressive than Christian's 20 for 90. Why? Because of when it happened. Okay, but let's look at the San Francisco receiving corps. Debo, great game, 8 catches, 89 yards. Right now, I can't remember in detail. D, maybe you can help me, but a lot of those catches were impactful in the second half, and probably most likely in that fourth quarter, if I'm mistaken. And his longest catch was 26 yards. Right now, here's the thing, D. Ayuk had 3 catches for 68 yards. Okay, had a touchdown. All right. The Ladybug catch made up most of that 68 yards. Christian McCaffrey, 4 catches, 42 yards. Juszczyk, 2 catches, 33 yards. Kittle, 2 catches for 27 yards, but he did have a long 28. When did that come? That was in the fourth quarter on that cross route. I remember that play clearly. Okay, because that was the 3rd down play that they needed to stop them on. I was like, man. And that's when they got that big run. That was a 28-yard catch. Okay, got it when he needed it. That's impact. That's your quarterback. Finding guys, getting them open. When you see distribution of the ball, right? But Debo had 8 catches, D. The next guy that had the most catches behind Debo was Ayuk with 3. Did you see the disparity in that now, in that sense? So what am I talking about? Impact. Ayuk's touchdown meant nothing. It does mean something as points, but it was Kittle's with that catch that comes across the middle. That was huge. Okay. McCaffrey had a big run or somewhere in there. That was huge. That's all I'm trying to say when we talk about impact. That's when it counts. Scoring a touchdown in the first quarter is nice, but in the fourth quarter, that's where the money is made, D.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Can you do Kansas City real quick against Baltimore?
Yeah, let's do Kansas City real quick. I know we gotta roll. Okay, let me get you. I got you, buddy. I got you. Okay, let's look at the Chiefies. We want Baltimore? That's the game you want? Okay.
Yeah, I want Kansas City stats, their box score.
Okay, so Pacheco, 24 carries, 68 yards, right? So it was a rough day for Pacheco, right? About 3 yards of rough.
No impact. Zero impact. No. Next.
Okay. All right. Mahomes had 6 carries for 15 yards. Okay. But his longest was an 11. You remember that? Scamper gets the sideline, running like he tried to hold in a fart or something like that, running along the sideline. And that was a big play. All right. Now let's look at their receivers. Kelsey balled out, as you said. 11 catches, 116 yards, and a tutty. Right? Longest was a 21-yard catch.
Pause it right there.
I'll pause it there.
What's Mahomes' total yards passing?
Total yards passing is 241 yards.
So Kelsey is responsible for about 45% of Mahomes' total passing yards.
Correct.
Will not work against the Niners. Keep going. I want to hear MVS, what he did. I want to hear about Noah Gray. Tell me about all these impacts.
I'll run it down for you. Rashee Rice, 8 catches, 46 yards. As long as it was 11.
Ooh.
MVS, 2 catches, 38 yards.
Okay.
His longest was a 32. Was he not impact? Did he not make an impact play though?
End of the game to close it out. No.
Well, what more impact do you need? That's to close the game out of the big catch. It won the game for them. They ran out the clock after that.
So that was a game-winning catch, Rod?
D, why was it not a game-winning catch? Because it closed the game out. That sealed the game for them. If they don't convert on that and they get and Baltimore gets the ball back, remember it's only a one game. It's only a one-score game that they won by. Mahomes could throw an interception. There could be a fumble. MVS could have dropped that ball, and now they got to punt back to Baltimore. So I'm saying that wasn't a big catch and play.
48% of his passing went to Kelsey.
It did. It did.
With no adjustment from Baltimore. No adjustment from McDonald try to take away Kelsey.
But D, why would McDonald make an adjustment when you got the best coverage first team All-Pro safety linebacker with Hamilton?
Because he was 9 of 9 in the first half. That's probably why. He was 9 of 9 in the first half.
Okay,
so
but
clearly,
you give your All-Pro a chance to fix it. So, and that was in the first half. So what did they do? They shut him down in the second half.
Championship game? In the AFC Championship game, because they didn't score in the second half, right? So in the AFC Championship game, you're going to allow your all-world player, the person to get 9 of 9 on them, and then we'll adjust it later when you know that Kelsey is all they really have.
Right, but to your point, what did they do in the second half? If Kansas City didn't score again, obviously they made adjustments, and Kelsey was quiet in the second half. So if he only had 2 catches in the whole second half, then they did something.
So why wouldn't you do that earlier? Why wouldn't you do that earlier?
Well, D, I mean, they didn't, but they were still in the game. I mean, he was killing them, but they were still in the game. So, I mean, it wasn't like they blew breaks off them. Okay.
Who else was in there?
Okay, Justin Watson, 1 catch for 16 yards. Pacheco, 4 catches for 14 yards. His longest was a 10. All right, Noah Gray, 2 catches, 8 yards. His longest was a 5. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 2 catches, 3 yards. And Richie James
pretty much nothing.
Played, but did not catch.
Pretty much nothing. All right. So listen, at the end of the day, time will tell. Tuesday's show is going to be lit one way or the other.
It's going to be lit.
Let's come up with let's get the score. You already said Patrick Mahomes as your MVP. I have CMC as my MVP of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What is your score?
My score. See, I said a low-scoring game, but you know what, though? After you went on your rant, but your rant made sense, though, as I start to think this through, okay? Because I'm going by past performance of the playoff games, okay? I say it's going to be 31-20 Chiefs.
So, same score
31-21. 31-21 Chiefs. They're going to win by 10.
Same score as, basically, same score as 2019.
31-21. Yeah. 31-21. I'm going 31-21.
Okay. I have, obviously, the 49ers winning. I think it's going to be the 49ers are going to show and prove who they are in this game. I have the 49ers winning 28-17. 28-17. It will be a non-teasable game. It will be a non-teasable game. The 49ers will win by double digits.
Ooh, D.
I'm tempted. I'm really tempted. I'm really tempted. I was going back and forth because I really think the Niners can put up 30 points or better on Kansas City. But I'm going to leave it at 28-17. We got James in the building. James has 31-21 San Francisco, 32-21 San Francisco.
Okay.
Briggs, you got a score?
Briggs, you got a score? If you still there, bro?
Before we roll out.
Yeah, we ready to roll.
But in any case, listen, man. It's all good. God, it's all good. It's all good. I really have. I can't stress this enough. I am as calm and relaxed with what the 49ers are going to do as I have ever been. It is. Let me explain something to you, and as I end, what Vegas is doing is rocking people to sleep. They're rocking people to sleep.
I'm sorry, not to cut you off, Don. Briggs said no score. He said just winning by at least 10 points. So he's picking what you pick. What did
I
you
didn't
pick
talk
again?
to him. I didn't
What
talk
was
to
your
him.
31-17? You said no. What was your score? No, you had more than what'd you say your score was?
28-17.
28-17. Okay, so that's an 11-point win. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't talk to him. We didn't collude to come up with that.
No.
I'll say this. What Vegas is doing is rocking people to sleep. They're rocking the casual fan to sleep. They take a team who is what they're doing is they're taking a team that's better, making them the favorite, but making it a small favorite to a team that has had dominance in the playoffs. And if you match player for player, people automatically go to the most important position, which is the quarterback position.
Right.
And if you match Brock Purdy to Patrick Mahomes, of course, Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback.
Right.
262. All of those things keep coming in people's heads. And what they're doing is they're creating a narrative. Although we're favorites, they are creating doubt. Do we really, over the last 2 playoff games, they were underdogs and they beat these teams outright. Do we really trust that Mr. Irrelevant is going to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes? But I have news for you. It's a team game.
Yeah.
Vegas is going to make a lot of money. And this is what you have to remember. Even though we're the favorites, probably 78% of the money is going on the Chiefs. The financial liability is on the Chiefs. The Chiefs will not win. And it will not be a game that is even. I'm telling you. And laugh. But
so if they do win, D, what's going to be? Are you going to give a Vegas?
They're not going to win. They're not going to win. There's no excuse I have to give. It's in plain sight what is going to happen. It is in plain sight. Your eyes are wide shut. That's the problem. But if you look, it makes it.
Yeah, that's a casual fan. Well, look, I think there's more money to win, right? If you go against the team that's favored, right, then you win more money, right? If you pick the Chiefs to win, then people gonna come out with a lot of money, and Vegas don't want to pay out money, right?
People want the Chiefs. People are obviously, because the line did not move. People want the Chiefs.
It's still 1.5, right?
No, in some books it's 2.5. Okay. And the variation between ESPN and other places should have you wondering why. But
listen, you don't have to be mad. Listen, they're not gonna come out hating and get mad
we
again.
Win. Let's put a friendly wager. If we win, Niners win. 49ers hat.
49ers hat. I'll find a 49ers hat between Sunday and Monday. I know.
Don't take all the way till September to get it.
Yeah, I did that last year.
All right. When we lose our first regular season game. Oh, I didn't wear it. 49ers hat.
49ers hat. 49ers
we
hat.
lose.
I think I might still have another 49. I think I threw it away.
I'll wear a Chiefs hat.
You wear a Chiefs hat.
Oh, you want me to wear something? You want me to
wear a Cowboys hat. You should wear
cool.
That would even be more. That would be even more ignominious and embarrassing for you to wear a Cowboys hat.
I'll wear a Cowboys hat.
They're gonna go like, why are you wearing a Cowboys hat? So that's even worse than wearing a Chiefs hat. Because the Chiefs, you lost to Mahomes, so no one's gonna be upset by that. You know what I'm saying?
No problem.
You know what I'm saying?
So we make that. That's a deal.
Yeah, that's the deal.
49ers win.
That's the deal.
You wear 49ers hat. Kansas City wins. I wear a Dallas Cowboys hat. No problem. No problem.
Okay.
Listen,
I like that way.
Get your Niners hat. Get your Niners hat ready. Dust it off from the
Dude.
last one you lost. Dust it off.
I will come with some glasses too that say when the Chiefs win, it's gonna have those glasses with those big eyes in there. It's gonna have them eyes on there. You know what I'm saying? I should tell Scrap to get the glasses with the eye.
So
Scrap come up with all kind of. Scrap is our resident. You know what I'm saying? He comes in with all his costumes.
All types of
stuff.
It's all good. Listen, man.
No doubt, James. Thanks for joining us, brother. We appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it, James.
Appreciate you, Briggs.
Listen, we appreciate everyone. Shouts out to Kingdom Creative for the production. Shout out to Infinite Audio for the music. Listen, man. I cannot wait to see your face when it's all said and done, Rod.
Yeah.
Oh, Tuesday's show. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, you don't want to miss Tuesday, y'all.
You don't want to miss Tuesday show.
You don't want to miss it. You don't want to
miss Tuesday show.
Because I'm telling you, bro, you don't want to miss it. Because to see D, listen, since y'all won't win, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna give you some of this though. I'm gonna give you some of that. I'm gonna give you some of this, some of that confetti. That's what you want, right? I'm gonna give you some of that. That'll be your confetti right there. That's about all y'all gonna get, right? Okay. I'll give you some though. I'm gonna give you some while you wearing that cowboy hat.
No problem.
Yo.
No problem. CMC is gonna have his way. But it's all good, man.
CMC.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, y'all.
Rod, you're gonna eat crow for sure. Thanks for joining us. Peace.